It is a grand finals time, folks. We're back. It's been a minute, but in the passage of time, everything happens. I'm Beowulf. Once again, we're back here. He's Steadfast to the left of me. And guess what? Shout out to everyone in San Jose, in New York. I know you're all alive. I'm hoping that gets a big cheer. Steadfast, it's the corporate grand finals.
It sure is. We have been working our way down from 14 teams down to two very familiar teams. We've got Amazon Alexa versus the Shopify dropshippers. Not Shopify, not Spotify, but Shopify dropshippers.
Well, they're still not Spotify, so I don't think that has ever changed, but we're back to the original name. It's all fine. And Steadfast, this is a story of a team that was destined to make the finals, right? We have Alexa. They were the number one seed the entire playoffs. They barely dropped a map on the entire way here versus a team that we have known, if you've been following the CEA for a while, as a team that always does well, but they didn't do to their standard in the regular season. They came in as the 7th seed. They did knock down Microsoft Macrohard, the number 2 seed in the entire event, to make it here to the finals. It'd be tempting to say that this is a story of almost David and Goliath, number 7 versus number 1. But you and I both know Shopify, their ranking never tells the true story.
No, it doesn't. It almost feels like an attempt to mask themselves, but you and I know better, that they know better, that everyone knows how good they are, that they've got that Zero, for example, their ace, who's been a long time ace of theirs. And if anything, they've actually bolstered their ranks since then. We've got, of course, their team captain, Alifnaut, who's been around for a very long time, Zero, who has always been the super ace of the CEA. But they have picked up a very intriguing player in the, I would assume in the offseason, someone joining the ranks of Shopify. It is the American Zerg player, Silky.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Right before this game, Alifnaut reached out to me and gave me a nice big document about here's everything you need to know about our team if you've forgotten. And they have documentation. Oh, this is Alifnaut. He's been playing since 2011. He finally hit Masters 1 2021, etc. And they just link us Silky's Liquipedia. And they just link us Silky's, Liquipedia and say, yep, this is it. Like, okay, you know what? That's it's valid. It works out. But you talk about teams getting bolstered, Steadfast. On the other side of things, this Alexa team is terrifying. They have Jon Snow, the gatekeeper of professional play in North America. The guy who, more often than not, he is in DreamHack. He does very well for himself. They have Goomba. They have Larry, who you're very familiar with. There's a reason this team is the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily that they have the strongest super aces, for example, that we see from, Zero or Silky. Although they do have Jon Snow, who is, like you said, has been a mainstay of North America for a very long time. But they probably have the highest floor of any team, and that's why why they ended up with that number 1 seed. Larry is a player who plays a lot of team games, but is most definitely a capable Grandmaster player. Jon Snow needs no introduction. Goomba, another solid mid-GM Terran player. Light, I believe, is a GM Zerg as well. And then they've got White Raw, who is there as an available player for them.
It is a terrifying team. When your worst player, well, okay, White Raw is his own thing, and I don't know whether we're going to get him here in this grand finals, because, again, everything that is happening in Ukraine right now, he's been very vocal about getting people support and bringing stuff in. So I don't know. But it is a scary team when your lowest ranked player is still got that nice golden orange border. Even at the low GM side, that puts you top 200 in a server. That is a terrifying team. But Steadfast, you talk about gold, right? You talk about gold borders. I'd rather talk about gold bases on the map. Map number 1 here is Pride of Altaris. Now, folks, for those of you that are new to the CEA, if you're not familiar with things, the maps were set out ahead of time, but there were 2 options, right? Map 1 was Pride of Altaris, and another map doesn't matter because Pride of Altaris is the map that was played. Only one map swap was used here for this grand finals. It's going to be on map 3. We'll talk about it when we get there. But these players said, you know what? I'm fine with the defaults. And Steadfast, more importantly than me, fine with the defaults. What do you think? Should we get into Pride of Altaris, map 1 of the grand finals, Incarnate versus Larry? It's going to be a PvT. And this is one that we got to assume Shopify, they're not feeling the best about.
Yeah, on paper, it's going to be a tough matchup for them. I think it was around a 7 or 800 MMR deficit. Now, we have seen some amazing upsets. We have seen over 1,000 MMR upsets in this. But are we going to see that here? That remains to be seen, I think. I think we can say with safety that remains to be seen.
Well, I don't know, but we got to believe in folks in not in DC, in New York City, San Jose. I know we got some Shopify people at the watch party, folks. We're going to get to the grand finals now. It's game 1, Incarnate and Larry. And here we are, folks, in the upper left. In the green, he is with the Shopify drop shippers. It's Incarnate.
And his opponent spawning down in the bottom right for Amazon Alexa. It is Larry.
And Steadfast. You were right. We got to see something.
Yep, it is going to be a proxy Rax right there, putting it at the gold base, which is very interesting because, I mean, this will block the gold base, but it would also get revealed if there was a very early pylon there to take that gold base. Now, we're not going to be seeing that, it doesn't look like. We do have the Gate Nexus, which will mean that dealing with this could be a little bit tricky. What do you think about this?
Some pro players, Trap in particular, have been pretty vocal about always making sure that you go and you build your Zealot, right? Just regardless of what happens, you build the Zealot, and if you don't need it, you cancel it, but you want to have that in production queue to make sure that you are not as vulnerable to these proxy barrack situations. Now, Larry's not doing that. And the fact that he's not doing it, that in fact he's going to try to greed out for the Cyber and for an Adept, a Stock, or something like that, that's a little troublesome, Steadfast. I mean, you get a Reaper in the main base with nothing to deal with it. Well, it can kill a lot of stuff.
It certainly can. It's a little tricky. It is a little tricky to deal with. We are seeing the Tech Lab actually after this. Hang on, this is going to be a very prepared build coming out of Incarnate. Oh God! Oh, oof. Almost getting surrounded right there.
He almost did it to himself too. All the probes got surrounded off the KDA charge. But yeah, no one expects this. You do not go Reapers into Concussive Shell Marauders. It's just not a thing. But also, it means Larry is not going to be expecting this in any way, shape, or form. He's got a Zealot, or he's got an Adept out. He's going to get a second one on the way. Those don't really kill Marauders.
No. But funnily enough, the Marauders don't really kill Adepts either. It's a very long form fight. However, the Hellions will deal with the Adepts quite well. I believe I've seen a few Terran players doing this. I think Gumiho has done this a time or two. We do have the Reaper gets in. Did he just get a probe? He did, didn't he?
That he did. A one.
Not bad.
One off the top immediately. And look at that. Proxy Starport as well. I mean, you talked about cheese. This is a solid, an aged cheddar from the farms of upstate New York. It's been sitting there in the barn for years now. It's sharp as hell. And Incarnate, we're going to have to see how much he's going to be able to make it happen. But Hellion right now, Reaper, they're going to find this Adept, but you got to be careful. Don't want to lose a Reaper. Will anyways, and he's going to lose a Hellion too. That is not what you want.
That's actually kind of disastrous right there. And it's an Oracle coming out, which actually is so good against all of this. Everything. Oh my God. This is a potential disaster right here for Incarnate. First of all, no anti-air in the main. Second of all, no anti-air with the push.
Yeah, Marauders, unlike memes of old, Marauders cannot, in fact, shoot up. But on the other side of the map here, we have Marauders in the main base, going to force a recall. Larry going to have to pop out of his leisure shoot just a little bit, because this is getting a little bit more difficult. And of course, you know, as the Oracles, they pop the energy on, they pop it off, and there is a medevac here keeping things alive, and there's only so much energy in these Oracles, Steadfast. They only do so much, so if Incarnate can find some way to just force them to spend all their energy, that's where life gets a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, it certainly does, and good job from Larry. He only turned on one of those Oracles right there. Battery overcharge has already been used, and probes are going down in the main base. But have many actually fallen? I mean, 6 have gone down. But this is a very heavily committed push. Oh God, that Zealot getting slowed down so much. But I still think this is going to get held pretty effectively. Yeah, now that there's Stalkers here, he will lose one of them. And the medevac is somehow keeping those Marauders alive for a while. But finally, all three of them going down basically at once. And now Larry is miles ahead.
That he certainly is. Singular damage instances, you have like one Stalker shooting. Bap, bap, bap. That will keep the Marauders alive for forever with a medevac. But when you have, say, 2 Oracles and a bunch of other stuff, yeah, it does become much more of a problem. But look at this. Behind the scenes, Incarnate, he has another level to these shenanigans. Now that his cheese is sharp and ripened, he's starting to melt it, trying to turn it maybe some fondue. And I guess if you pour a bunch of mag field accelerator cyclones on things, that's kind of a fondue. I don't know.
It could certainly have some very disastrous results. By the way, we do have to mention that if Larry had committed with the first Oracle, the game would already be over by this point. But we now have these Oracles coming on in, and there is still no anti-air at home. There is 3 Cyclones coming back, but he loses so many SCVs during all this. And the Cyclones, okay, they are going to get the lock-ons here, and they will get the kill. So that's actually pretty big. However, it's now 45 probes to 20 SCVs.
Well, Steadfast, let's be real here. Anything more than 1 base saturation does not matter for Incarnate. He is not doing anything more than that. This is all in. In fact, it is incredibly all in. So as long as he can support his production on this 1 base, and he effectively can. Look, he's 3 SCVs short of a full tank. I'm not sure how much he really cares. Now, of course, Larry will continue to grow. He has this 3rd base done. He's mining off 2 bases. It's going to be fine. So Incarnate really does have to start to hit this timing right now. And look, mag field accelerators are done. There's a Viking just to knock down the Phoenix, maybe. Although I think that Phoenix is dead. Yes, it is. And there's a little bit of bio here. Stim is done as well. So Incarnate right now is going to poke. He's going to lock on the pylon, preventing any sort of warp ins, any sort of shield batteries showing up in a little bit. But the scary thing is, yeah, there we go. Blink is done on these Stalkers. One of them will go down. 2nd Cyclone falls as well. And now so much of the strength of this army from Incarnate, well, it's just not there anymore.
It certainly is not. Stim is done, but the Stalkers with Blink, nice blinks from Larry right there. Going to be able to clear out most of this army. In fact, almost all of it's gone. Wow, look at that Steph Curry Cyclone right there with the reach. But it's not going to matter regardless, as Larry will win the fight more than handily and takes down the game. 1-0 lead for the Amazon Alexa.
That he will. You know, Larry, for part of that game, it got scary for a second. He had to take his leisure suit off, but, you know, he got it back on. Leisure suit Larry is okay, and I'm never going to say that word right, so I'm going to stop trying. But Steadfast, we kind of expected this, right? This was a 700, 600, 700 MMR differential between these 2 players. And that is also going to be true for the next series, because we're going to have Alifnot versus Amazon's Light in a different matchup. It's going to be TVZ on a matchup that probably isn't the most Terran favorite. I mean, Blackburn, yes, when you're on 2 bases, you have that push across, but as soon as you get to 3 or 4 base setup, it's just so hard for the Terran to move across the map and really start to put a pressure on those bases. But who knows? I mean, I don't think this goes to a macro game. It's... in the document that I have, it says that it's not going to a macro game. It says we're just going to do this thing, and you know, we're going to try to cheese it out because we are 600-700 MMR in the dirt.
Yeah, you gotta find some way to take an advantage, some way to discombobulate, or otherwise catch an opponent off guard. And the matchup is TVZ, and that's not the easiest thing to do. As we get into Blackburn, what do you think we're going to see?
Well, you know what, Steadfast, I've heard tales of a 2 or 3 ranks. I've heard that in tournament situations, its win rate is insane. I literally never see it lose. So, if I'm trying to get a cheap win, strikes me as going for something like that would make a lot of sense.
Sounds like a good idea. Maybe we'll see that. Let's get into game, though, and to figure it out.
There we go. In the bottom left here, in the blue, he's not rocking his team colors for whatever reason. They got him swapped. He's Alifnot.
And his opponent spawning down on the bottom left for Amazon Alexa. It is the Zerg player Light. Spelled with a Q. Yep, you heard that right.
You know, I didn't even look at it. I just assumed it was fine. I assumed it was normal.
Yeah, you would assume that, but I feel like that's the kind of thing where it makes your opponent look at the loading screen and be like, wait, what? And then while that's happening, you know, he's like, haha, I just pulled 3 drones and I'm attacking your mineral line. Haha, gotcha.
It's the whole, oh, hey, you know, hello, friend. Welcome to this game of Starcraft. Where are you from? You have any hobbies outside of Starcraft? Do you enjoy a nice cold beer on a hot day? Meanwhile, they're proxy hatching you, and you're like, okay, great. Yeah, this has not been fun. You're not friendly here. This is cheap. This is cheesy. It's not okay.
Yeah, never trust the chatters. Never trust the chatters. They're always up to some kind of no good. And that's why you got to do the anti-meta play of when someone, you know, when someone starts chatting, you cheese them. Yeah.
That is the true big brain. This is Steadfast. This is why you're in GM, and I'm not. I don't. My brain is not that big. It is. You know, and every day that goes on, it just gets shrunken a little bit more. I think it's walnut sized right now. But look, if I see any more, if I watch any more PvP, I'm sure we can decrease it.
Yep. Yeah, it's a steady diet of PvP will shrink that brain right into a nice vacuum sealed package. You can really save space with that.
I said that's not even fair. I mean, the different styles we're seeing in PvP in the meta as of later, putting the lie to that truth. But whatever. You know what? I will never miss an opportunity to talk crap out everything but the best Mirror in the game, which of course is ZVZ. No one will tell me any different. And I'm not. I have not been committed to a mental hospital in the last month. It's fine.
Oh.
But hey, look at that. Reaper gets a ling. I mean, 1 ling, but that is
he
something.
gets a drone.
Oh, did he?
You got a drone, yeah. That's GG.
That is
the
GG.
pro
You're right.
players
Game
tell
over.
me that's GG. Yeah. Yep. 1 drone goes down, you may as well tap out. Yeah. It's a disaster. Unironically though, it sucks a lot to lose a drone. That's a feels bad, man, for sure. And you know what? Maybe Aleph not saying to himself, you know what? No, I got this. I don't need to cheese. I'm the better player. Wonder if he believes that. I wonder if he thinks that he can out muscle an opponent.
I mean, Alephnot, we've seen him certainly punch above his weight before. And remember, Zero is on this team. Zero is the ace of Shopify. I keep trying to say the Shopify Rebellion, but the Shopify dropshippers. And on top of that, you have Jon Snow as well. So you have this really good Terran. You know, this DreamHack level Terran, this DreamHack level Zerg. And if you're trying to learn something, I mean, if you're trying to figure out how to snipe a Zerg player, it seems like working with the two of them would be a fantastic way to do it. Although, on the other side of things, Steadfast, I feel like TVZ is probably the matchup where upsets happen the least. You know, yeah, TVP, you got some cheese, and any other matchup feels like you have cheese, but I don't know. TVZ feels like just this matchup where it's so stable that it's a great expression of skill, but also upsets, they're just not really nearly as much of a thing.
No, it's really difficult to score an upset in TVZ these days. On either end. There are... it's very difficult. We are going to be seeing, by the way, Hellion Liberator as the... Oh, Reaper does get picked off. And wait, did he lose a Hellion as well? Yeah, he did. That's a little rough. But Liberator's going to sneak in towards the bottom side, head towards that main base. There is no Spore Crawler. Light leaving himself a little bit undefended here. And the Hellions are keeping the Queens at the front. We're going to see a Hellion YOLO, it looks like. Oh, Lings, though? Nope, they're going to say no.
So
Meanwhile, though. Oh, what's the... Okay, that was very weird.
I guess it only gets 1 drone. I mean, Alephnot for 0 spores here, it really feels like he should get more than this, but the Queen has been on top of it the entire time. The Hellions, they don't get much either, so Steadfast, you were right. It looked good. It looked like it was a possibility, but unfortunately, it doesn't really seem like it's going to do all that much. Well,
yeah, Alephnot kind of hesitated a lot with that Liberator. I don't know. I guess he was trying to get like a really nice position on it, but speed is everything there. So you want it down as quickly as possible. Already the creep, by the way, is getting pretty nicely developed through the middle. Liberator in the natural now does get another worker, but he's going to lose it now.
And again, the Hellions losing 1, losing the Reaper early, being distracted by your Liberator harass. as you mentioned, they have really not killed. I don't think they've killed really any creep tumors at all. So this creep spread is insane. It's going to hit the middle of the map in a second. And as a Terran that you do want to push through the middle of the map on this, this is not a game where you want to take it super late just because of how hard it is to push in general. It's going to take a while. It's going to take forever to ever approach an actual Zerg base, somewhere you would actually want to push into. At the very least, Alifnot, look, he's going to take the aggressive position on the third base. He's going to start mining out of that. So at least he has this kind of nice position that he can push through that will allow him to maybe try to clean this creep out a little bit faster.
Yeah, certainly. Light, by the way, he's floating a lot of minerals right now. He is struggling to spend his money. He needs a couple of extra macro hatches, needs, you know, his Evo chambers could have probably been a little bit earlier. His gases maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe even throwing down a sixth base. He is throwing down a macro hatch now, but this is a little bit tricky for him. He's got to get that money spent. If he had it spent, he'd be able to deal with this push very, very easily. But as it is, doesn't actually have many Zerglings on the map at all.
It is so easy right at this point, right before all your gases go down, to just have your mineral count explode as a Zerg, just because of how the build tends to go. But as you said, yeah, that's a big timing. Now, Alifnot, he cleans out so much of this creep. He gets down an Overlord, which is not going to supply Black Licht or Light, but it will, you know, at least be a little annoying, remove some vision. But now Banelings arrive, more and more Lings are being made. But again, we do need to see that bank. It does need to get spent. And, well, Mutas, they're going to be a fairly decent way of doing that, assuming that the pressure that Alifnot's putting on isn't enough to distract him from that endeavor.
Yeah, 1-1, by the way, is done for Alifnot, so he's going to take a really good engagement in the middle map. Doesn't lose many Marines at all. Kills off quite a few Zerglings. Only gets a little bit of creep, so not pushing it back as far as I'm sure he'd like to. Meanwhile, Alifnot, okay, that's what I was wondering about. He is going to go for an 8 racks here. It is, as soon as I saw that base on the low ground going down, I was wondering if that was on the menu. Meanwhile, man, watching Marines try and get into medevacs through a slow zone is painful. They are slow as hell. But this is going to be a super dedicated push, and this is the kind of thing that can be very, very good against a Zerg player, and especially on a map like this.
Especially against a muted player in general, right? You get 8 racks, your pressure really starts to hit right around the time, especially because this is delayed mutas. This is not 2.5 base mutas. This is the Serral style that has you get your upgrades, has you get a lot of stuff on the ground before you move into mutas, which then does mean, of course, the Bio is going to stim on here, trying to knock down as many Banelings as possible. Only going to get the 1. It does mean that, again, right around the same time, Alifnot's going to start to really explode his supply, and we're already starting to see it a little bit. That's when you get the mutas, but then you have, what, 10 mutas that are trying to fight 50 Marines? That's not really what you're looking for as a Zerg.
No, it is not. And finally, some of that money getting spent as 10 mutas get fired up. It will actually allow him to pull ahead in supply momentarily. His drone count is very good. He's on 84 drones, and that can be really, really nice against what his opponent's doing. Alifnot, by the way, electing to finish up reactors on all 3 of these barracks, which does mean he'll have more production, but it also means it takes longer for this 8 racks to get online. Big Lingbane counterattack is... I mean, it's just going to get ignored. It's just going to go right past.
Ooh, that's a lot of Lings in the middle map dying as well. Light F2ing to deal with the attack at the top. That means this push in the middle is a lot scarier, but Alifnot opting to only move a little bit of his army through the other side, but he has bought himself some wonderful time as the mutas, they arrive in the natural, but there's a little bit of bio. Here's some Liberators as well for the splash, and here comes Alifnot on the left-hand side. He's going to knock a base down, putting his opponent back down to only 5 bases. The tanks, though, they're not yet sieged. How good are the splits here from the Shopify Terran? Looks like actually really not all that great. So many Marines die in the blink of an eye, but the mutas, they could not find the value they're looking for, and now Alifnot here on creep, looking to push and pin Light back into his core 4. Well, oh wait, that drop on the north side, it's gotten 13 drones steadfast.
Oh my god, it's 3 Marines. One of them has 12 kills, one of them has 11. What the hell? That drone, that damage should not have happened. We do have the tanks continuing to move forward here. Creep is still very much present. The thing is, like, if these tanks get too far forward, there comes a point where you just can't do anything about it as a Zerg. So he needs to act on this as soon as possible.
Yeah, Steadfast, one thing I want to point out, Light has been committing so much of his gas to these mutas. He's got 6 more on the way that he has not been able to afford 2-2. For some reason, his hive is just about done, but no 2-2 here, which means Alifnot, I mean, this bio is so powerful right now, but really it is all down to the splits as we have a mutas here. They're trying to flank on in, trying to get on top of these tanks, as now here comes Light, crashing on in, but the tank line is so damn powerful, Steadfast, that it looks like that will not matter here. The Banelings, they're all gone. The Mutas, they're all gone as well. And Steadfast, we're talking about upsets. 1,000 MMR makes not a difference in the CEA, and Aleph not now into the natural. There's a bit of a run by on the north side, some Banelings, but they're not getting nearly what they want to drone here as well, just for some moral support as the Baneling nest, it follows the natural here as well. Steadfast, do I believe my eyes?
You certainly do, because it looks like Alephnot is pulling off that big upset and is going to even things up. And this is the kind of match that this is gravy. This is all gravy for the Shopify dropshippers. That is a really, really strong start for them.
Yeah, remember, there is Zero and Jon Snow, the two players that are remaining, the two super aces of Shopify. This is a best of 7. We might be done with this before the ace set, right? With Aleph not taking the upset here, and then suddenly we have Zero and Jon Snow on the way, who I probably would favor both of them. 3-1?
It's a good chance.
Or
And
4-1?
then, well, 3-1, and then you have both of them available as ace players. It's a tough situation. Tough situation now for Amazon Alexa. Now they have to find a way to score an upset against, or if not an upset, just a. They need to find a way to get something done.
Absolutely. So up next we have Goomba versus Zero. So we got two mirrors back to back here, because Goomba versus Zero is going to be map 3 or match 3. By the way, this was the map that was swapped, I believe. And then map 4 is going to be Silky versus Jon Snow. So we're going to get a TVT, and we're going to get a ZVZ. And then who knows, right? We do, because we are guaranteed having to go to at least one ace match. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I can't do math. But who knows? What I do know is Hardwire TVT. That kind of sounds like a long one.
It certainly could be. It certainly could be. There's there's the potential. I do know that Goomba is a player that I believe likes to play mech and enjoys going for, unless I'm mistaken, he enjoys going mass battle cruiser.
Well, you know, Mass PC is a good thing, and I'm sorry, I misspoke. I believe I said that Jon Snow plays for Shopify. Silky plays for Shopify. Jon Snow's for Amazon. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and without further ado, let's get right into game number 3.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing. The actually, 1 second. We need a. I'm gonna have to leave this lobby. There's a mistake on the setup, but we're gonna be back into it in just a second. But Steadfast, I cannot get over how impressive that win was from Alephnot. Like, that was so unexpected.
Yeah, that was impressive, very surprising. Well done by them.
All right, there we go. Now we're all good. Just
perfect
setting. You know what? It's okay.
That happens to the best of us.
But we got high level TVT now. Hardwire, Steadfast. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a map where there's lots of opportunity to make plays. It's a good thing, and hopefully we'll see some of that as we get into game number 3.
All right. In the bottom left, in the green, he is once again for Amazon. It's Goomba.
And his opponent for the Shopify dropshippers, it is their ace, their hero. He is Zero. Nailed it.
I don't know. Whenever I hear you say anything about that, I just think of Hercules.
Huh.
I'd go in
Zero
hero
to
to
hero.
hero.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Exactly. You're ruining me, Steadfast. Ever so slowly. Ruining me.
Well, I mean, that's my job. I'm just here to discombobulate.
Well, I also live in a part of the country where it is always it's never hot, and it is about 90 degrees out, and I do not have AC, and I have my production PC running right below my desk.
Oh,
You're toasty. That's enough to discombobulate.
yeah. I could imagine that being a A very, very unpleasant situation, a very, very unpleasant thing to deal with. Now, both players have opened up incredibly standard here. They both opened up double gas. SCVs showing up pretty much at the same time, and they've just a gentleman's agreed to not do anything crazy, no proxy 2 racks, all the normal stuff.
And that's fair because, Steadfast, how are we supposed to get into mass BCs if we do something crazy in the early game?
That is a good question. It's kind of impossible, actually.
Yeah, but again, yeah, as you said, it's Barracks, Double Gas Factory. The only map we might see something a little different would be, say, Berlingrad, right, where you might go for something a little more aggressive just because of how short the rush distance is. But there's a reason that this build has really dominated the meta as of late. Although, hey, Goomba, his Reaper does find its way on the other side where there is a Command Center going down, so that is going to be a delayed natural. Always a nice little thing you can do in the early game as a Terran. And Zero saying, you know what? No, there's a Reaper at home. I can't really do that. So he's going to dive in the main, try to find some scouting information, and he's going to see, okay, well, my opponent has done the exact same thing I have. Well, actually, not quite, because Zero did commit to the reactor, which is why that Command Center got delayed, but it does mean he will be able to build more Reapers here as Goomba's going to find one of these rather early, and oh, the grenade, he finds himself on the other side of it. So that is a dead Reaper in the early game for Zero.
Yeah, this is a really nice start for Goomba. Zero going for the greedy quick reactor here, but oh, if Goomba, don't push. Why are we pushing? No, you know you can't push. Oh, he is going to lose these Reapers. Well, he had himself a really significant, well, a nice little advantage, and unfortunately doesn't recognize the situation and just kind of throws it away right there. It's a bit of an oopsie right there from Goomba, but Zero, we take those as Zero.
I mean, I feel yes. There's a day and age where you get the +1 Reaper trade, and you say, okay, look, game's over. I'm gonna snowball this out of control. But the new meta, can't even call it new anymore. For the last year or so, this just the way you open Barracks Double Gas Factory, we almost never see that snowball into a true advantage. It's like, yes, I have +1 Reaper. It really is not going to do all that much for me. 99 games out of 100. Now, we're going to have to see how well Goomba's going to be able to defend against this pressure, though, because the Reapers fly in the main base. It really shouldn't get too much done with the amount of Hellions we have, and the Hellions in the natural, they're not going to do much of anything. So third base gets delayed. Big shots, not big enough. The Reapers survive. But again, okay, look, you delay mining on this natural for a second. It really, even with the Reaper, even with the early tech lead, this really hasn't done all that much for Zero.
No, it hasn't. But we got to talk about what Goomba's doing right here. He's going for a quick Megfield accelerator, double cyclone pump. And if he tries to go for, he might go for like 6 cyclones and try and snipe the natural command center. People are oftentimes forgetful of how much damage a Megfield accelerator cyclone does to a building. So when you have 4, 5, 6 of those just wailing away at a command center, it dies very quickly.
Steadfast, I play Zerg. I've played against enough mech. I know how much damage a bunch of Megfield accelerator cyclones can do. But we're going to have to see here. So he's going to catch this army in the middle of the map. Looks like he's going to get a couple lock-ons. Most importantly, on the units that don't regen all that well. So here comes Goomba on the other side. Steadfast, we think of Berlingrad as the map that is actually just a literal seesaw. But I suppose if you have a Fulcrum and you have enough weight, you can turn Hardwire into one too.
Yeah. Now, do those Cyclones weigh enough to do so is the big question. We are seeing 4 Cyclones already on the field, a 5th one about to pop before he starts to transition. And can Goomba... Oh, is he going to go in here? No, it doesn't look like it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, we do have an auto turret coming in for Harass. Going to force a lot of lost mining time, and we'll get a lot of SCVs, actually. Oh, this is big damage.
That is... Oh, he doesn't even... Yeah, the lock-on doesn't even happen. It looks like for a second the Raven got locked onto, but not even anymore. Now here the Cyclones trying to find their way on in. The army of Zero actually moving out of the map, but the secret sauce of Cyclones, they can deal with tanks if tanks start sieged. The moment tanks siege and the moment they get their shots off, I mean, the Cyclones, they just die. They go poof, and they do disappear. So now that Zero has the sieged up position outside of his base, it's going to be so damn hard for Goomba to really ever move in and really and find the damage that he was looking for. Now maybe there's another shot when the third base goes down, but that third base is actually fairly delayed compared to what Goomba's done.
It certainly is. It certainly is. However, this is going to be mech out of Goomba. Yeah, there we go. Third factory coming on down behind us.
Ooh, Raven get.
Oh, he got the Raven.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a big pickoff. That is a really big pickoff. We are seeing a double drop coming across the map, though. Oh, boy. Is there anything at home that defends against this? Not in the main.
Well, conceptually, you're going to have stuff coming out of these factories that aren't currently building anything. But conceptually, Steadfast, the rally is going to be enough to defend. I don't think it will, though. And of course, Goomba, I mean, he's just powering up here. He's got double armory on the way. He's building double Vikings, and eventually the Vikings would be able enough to just shove this away. But Zero is just hitting this perfect timing right as Stim completes, where it's going to be so hard for Goomba to be able to shove it off as he tries to find his way into the third base. He's going to get lock on some of these tanks. Maybe their Cyclones here. Tank gets actually no shots on the Cyclones, so that's going to be fine. Dropping the main base here as well. And as you said, Steadfast, there is nothing here. The production cycles were last because, well, Goomba was trying to make sure he had a third base. And now that means Zero, he stims in here. It is so much damage. 10 more workers go down on top of the 6 earlier. And the only way this one really gets dealt with is with tanks, which are not sieged up, not really in the main base just yet. We've seen one medevac go down, but even if this drop dies now, I think you're happy with killing 13 workers.
You certainly are, and he got 2 Vikings as well. Such expensive units. He's going to find... Oh, does he get the tank? No, he doesn't. Actually, okay, he will dive for it. Loses the Raven. Was that worth it? I don't know if it was worth it to dive that for the tank. He is going to try and push forward, though, so he's going to try and make it worth it.
That's one of those things where, pure cost, no, it's not worth it. Absolutely not. In terms of utility on the map, also not really. But if you can clear out a pushing position that you just immediately run into and, say, break down Goomba's third, suddenly it does start to be worth it as now Marauders stim into the natural here, trying to knock this tank down, but there's only one medevac, so not a lot of healing. But here we go. Now one tank does fall, and now we do have personal healing. Good splits from Zero to make sure that this happens. Cyclones start to fall. The tanks, they're not the best sieged up position, but they are enough to force Goomba away from his natural. As now, okay, the bio's down. But again, Goomba is just taking haymakers in this middle game. It's so hard for him to stabilize right now.
Yeah, it really is. This is a really tough position to deal with because right now the third base and the natural are, yeah, look at that. SCV gets blown to smithereens. They are locked out of each other's positions. And we're going to see a little bit of bio showing up here for Zero. I was going to say he's got to be careful about that tank, but he does scan, sees where it is, and he says, oh, I can drop out of range of that.
That he can. So the bio kind of run by. They say, yeah, we'll take one tank shot. We're Marauders. It's fine. Looks like the Vikings are going to try to land on the tanks on the north side. Again, this rally's a little weird. It's not in the best position from Zero, so he is taking a little bit more damage than he would like to, but now we're going to have a bunch of Marauders drop on top of these tanks. They're split just enough that friendly fire kills bio. It also does kill one of the tanks, so But Zero, he does have to back up for a second. Tanks didn't want to go there. He does have to back up just a second. Has to rebuild, has to retool, and just join himself back together because that rally was scary, but he hasn't really been able to bring his army together until right now. And we just see the blob of red on the other side of the map. I mean, this is where things get really challenging.
Yeah, we've got the starport transition coming in now. Unfortunately, Goomba, you see it starting up on the production tab just now. He did forget his +1 vehicle plating and armor. Oh, Zero. Oh my God, he's going to attack into a bunch of siege tanks. Oof, taking some big shots right there. Will be forced back. That was a little tough. Drop into the natural. I don't know about this. Missile turrets. Oh God, he's just going to boost right in. He says, screw it, I don't care.
Well, you know what? If you get by the missile turrets, they don't really matter. 3 tanks, they siege up. 1 medevac under a little threat, but it's going to go down pretty quickly. There we go. Missile turret's fine, but medevac falls. And now Goomba trying to find his way into this position is not easy. Tanks are powerful units.
Base.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He's going to be everywhere. Zero, his supply is so damn good that he's forced a natural to lift. In fact, it's just lifting. Third base under significant threat. Now, of course, I think you just lift that. It doesn't matter, though. Zero, he's done too much damage in this game. And Steadfast, Shopify, they have a 2-1 lead.
That they do. That was a very nice maneuver coming out of Zero. He put the pressure on from basically as soon as he was able to get stim, he dropped into the main base, got himself a nice setup. From then on, he really didn't take his foot off the gas and was consistently going at him and was able to eventually break through. Well done.
That he was. So now that means that, well, we got another game. We got Silky versus Jon Snow, and I don't know. Technically, it's a team kill. So, Silky and Psystorm, or Silky and Jon Snow still rocking those Psystorm tags, but Silky is retired. He's still scary. He still has his Liquid PD page, but I don't know that he's playing as much as Jon Snow is. So, who knows? We're going to have to find out. Any thoughts on 2000 Atmospheres as a map for ZVZ Steadfast?
It's got a lot of attack paths. You can run Ling Bane around. I mean, honestly, the maps are like not that groundbreakingly different unless it's, Curious Minds, in which case it's extremely short, or Glittering Ashes, in which case it's extremely long and maybe you can sneak out a 12-pool drone pull, or it's Pride of Alteris with a gold base, or it's Blackburn with a regular gold base. Other than that, there's not a ton of massive differences. When we get into the game, we can discuss it a little bit more, but yeah, the main thing is where the attack paths are, where you need to put the overlords to kind of spot Ling Bane coming on in. General stuff like that.
So what you're telling me is, other than 50%, 70% of the map pool, they're all the same. Got it. Thank you, Steadfast. Wonderful information.
Yeah, no. Then 57%. Yeah. We got to be exact. Yeah.
Math, not my strong suit. Folks, we have a game 4 though. We're ready here. It's actually 2000 Atmospheres, as Steadfast to say. We're getting into it. And in the bottom left now, his team is up 2-1 for the Shopify Rebellion. His name is Silky.
And his opponent spawning up at the top right. For size. Oh, no, not for size. Gaming, damn it. For Amazon Alexa, it is Jon Snow. Jon Snow. We're going to be seeing a 12 pool out of Silky versus Hatch first. All right.
I can't remember the last time I cast Silky, but this doesn't surprise me at all. For whatever reason. Maybe I'm just thinking of Chinese Silky, who is, I think of Chinese Silky and I think of 2-base Lurker drops against Terran Lurker Nidus. I'm sorry, 2-base Lurker Nidus back in DreamHack's summer of last year. But that is not the Silky, so it's not exactly a fair comparison now, is it, Steadfast?
No, not the not at all. In fact, they're two very different players. But 12 pool is still a macro build anyways. It does of course get scouted by the Overlord. No sneaky moves out of Silky trying to flip around and say, hey, don't build defenses. I want to get across the map and get as much damage done to your hatchery as possible. Jon Snow electing to not start mining gas. He wants to put all of his focus. Actually, sorry, he stops mining gas pretty early. Wants to put all of his focus on minerals and will pull the drones to the natural. 15 drones, it looks like. Yeah, that's a lot of drones.
And this is not the most committed 12 pool either. We're only on 5 Louderworth, only on 10 Lings. So, look, if Silky gets a couple Lings here, or a couple drones here, he's going to be very happy. One getting very low indeed. How good are the pulls here from Jon Snow? He loses 1. Hatchery taking taking a significant amount of HP. These Lings are still doing a pretty damn fine job, and it looks like Jon Snow not building any Lings on the natural, just drones. It's a little bit hard to go down the ramp now, so already 2 workers have died, a couple Lings as well. Silky sends off 1 Ling to just go scout in the main base, and this is held. But already it feels like this got a little bit more than it should. Oh, okay, that 1 drone, 2 HP left, almost goes down. It feels like this got a little bit more than it should have.
Oh, wow. Oh, wait. We had a creep tumor from Silky. Oh, boy. Okay, that's... Huh. Jon Snow's in a significant lead right now.
Yeah.
He's in a very significant lead. He's got so much more larva. He holds that natural. Silky is up in supply, but that's a lie. That's a false. We see it right now in the production tab. It's 8 drones versus 2 drones coming on down. Jon Snow's going to pull ahead. He doesn't have to spend that drone to start up the gas, which of course we see Silky does have to do. And since he has to be a little bit afraid, Silky that is, of a potential Ling flood, we do need to see a very quick Evo chamber. This is a good situation for Jon Snow, I would say.
So Steadfast, you're telling me it's a supply?
Yeah, a little bit.
No, but in general, you don't. I wonder why he's pushing creep so heavily. Like, that's just not something you see all that often. The larva is by far the most important thing in the early game, especially, look, in a ZVZ where you have the exact same thing as your opponent. And look at this, Jon Snow, he's going to go for most likely a Carapace timing. This might be for +1 melee, not totally sure, but getting that Evo chamber. I'm sorry, wait, no, that's a Baneling Nest. Still, hidden Baneling Nest, rather. I mean, why would you hide? Why do you hide that? Normally, you just kind of get at the front. Banelings are an assumption.
Well, in a match like this, not necessarily. In a match like this, you would be assuming that your opponent wouldn't go Banelings, if anything. And this is actually going to be 2 Gasling Bane.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a heavy commitment. He does get the Evo chamber to kind of sell that it's normal. It doesn't get scouted anyways, which is kind of funny. So it's... And of course, you can go into like +1 melee behind this, or like you said, or +1 Carapace, or even +1 missile and go into roaches. But this is going to be, I believe, a significant amount of aggression.
And it will be timing out there with speed finishing. Tons and tons of lings on the way. Jon Snow's been building them, not drones. So Silky has a bit of a worker lead. You know, he does get that. That is something that he can try to leverage, assuming that he's able to hold this next bit of pressure. So lings on the other side. Silky building some defensive roaches, but on the ling counts we have, on the roach counts we have right now, that's not going to do enough. So Jon Snow, he's just going to force the cancel on that third base immediately. And now here's the question as to whether he can break the natural. Silky already starting the second level of the wall. And we've not seen a lot of Banes get made, to be totally honest. At Fest, we have 2 of them. So it just means that Jon Snow, he's just kind of mining a lot of gas as you got a Roach Warren down, +1 ranged on the way. It feels like, oh, Nat third gets broken for a second time or gets canceled for a second time. It feels like this was, I'm not going to say a bait because, I mean, he did try to commit to it. But, I mean, it's good that he's pulling out of it when he realizes it's not going to kill Silky. It's just, right now, a pressure move.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this move out of Jon Snow, to be honest. I mean...
Well, okay.
I'm okay with him building the lings. I actually really like that. I'm not a big fan of him getting the second gas in the Baneling Nest and then, you know, not really doing much with it. It feels like a weird move to me. We do have a Spire coming down, by the way, for Silky. Jon Snow is getting into his own +1 missile and roach speed, and he's going to be able to equalize those upgrades. Silky, what can he get done with these mutas is the big question.
Well, we got to remember, the lair is going to be, it was pretty late for Jon Snow compared to Silky, so he's not going to have really good ability to scout until right now, and he's going to find the Spire pretty much as it's done. The Lings have found absolutely no value, and you say, well, you know, I wish Jon Snow had committed to that. You're not going to break through, Banelings against buildings are good, but you're not going to break through 2 levels of a wall with the roaches behind it. I think that would have been really just not worth it whatsoever. So,
no, I'm not. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so like, make the best of it, right? As 6 mutas are here on the way, at the very least, what are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4 3 overlords on the map. They're trying to run home, but at the very least, hey, you know, let's get supply block Jon Snow.
We've got a really interesting move, by the way, out of Silky. He's transferring a lot of drones from the main and the natural over to that third base to make it look like he's got a... Well, I mean, okay, he just... Yeah, okay, that was super weird because he transferred more than he needed to out of the main. He transferred an extra 4 and then like rebuilt them over to that location. Huh. Okay. I mean, it's just it's a small move, but I was wondering if it was like a masking play. But nope, he's droning up super hard.
No, apparently, okay, we're not going to make that joke. Never mind. Anyway, mutas are going to find a bunch of queens and spores. They're going to dive for these overlords instead of that is not the play. 2 mutas go down. And sure, this is not going to be the biggest muta commitment, right? This is going to be in a roaches behind this. This +2 is about halfway done. But you still don't want to lose mutas like that. Lings find their way into the third base, getting a little bit more here. Queen, it's not going to go down, but 3-4 workers die, and that's always going to be tasty. It's, hey, you know what? That's 1 gas worth of mining right there. And in this game where you are building mutas and other things, deny gas, it's always going to be a wonderful thing. Now, my question, though, is has Jon Snow read too much into this is mutas? Because we have a Hydra, we have a Lurker Den about half or a third of the way done. We have a bunch of Hydras on the way. He does not have a 4th base even started. He feels like he's trying to go Turtle Zerg. And this is a game where Silky is leaning very much into the Roach tech out of this. In fact, Roach Bane, which is really interesting.
Yeah, the Roach Bane is so confusing to me. I don't know what his... I don't know what the play is. He is thinking that his opponent will have built a lot of Hydras, but you know, building 5 mutas and then or sorry, 6 mutas and then losing 7 mutas and then losing 3 of them is not going to make your opponent feel threatened enough to actually build Hydras. So he goes for a queen, almost loses one of those mutas. There are a few Hydras here, but look at that. They're immediately turning into lurkers.
In fairness, though, Steadfast, yeah, you did say the 8 the 8 Hydras there, but there's a style, specifically this muta into roach style that Cyril loves, where he says whatever you do, your reaction to mutas is going to be big enough that you're gonna put a lot of money into your tech, a lot of money into things that are not building a lot of roaches in a 4th base. So if I build, say, 22 Banes and I make them roll into you, I am just going to do enough splash damage that my roaches are going to be able to kill the rest of your roaches. Pure and simple. It's not a question of, well, I need to kill all these Hydras. It's just 22 Banes or 30 Banes or whatever it is rolling into a roach concave, forces splits, forces things where the roaches are just not DPSing. And if you're able to hit a big max out like this, look at this. We're a 30 supply up for Silky right now. These Banelings start to become very scary because it just lets you crush through an inferior army supply.
I mean, it's an inferior army supply, but it's a higher, way higher quality army. The lurkers are going to be king right here, and they are going to be very difficult to break through. Now, there's only one of them covering this base, so he does need to kind of reposition these, and Jon Snow will get these over. Look at how much damage the roaches are taking. Oh, the Banelings get obliterated and do absolutely nothing. And Jon Snow takes an amazing defensive fight. Are there too many roaches to hold? I don't think so. Yeah, no, Jon Snow is going to be able to hold here, and he is now very, very far ahead.
Man, those Biles made me believe for just a second. But the big deal, those Banes, they just lined up in one big clump, and 3-4 Lurker Spines, they all went down. A Lurker's going to get found on the back, or a Ravager's going to get found on the backside. But now, as you said, yeah, Jon Snow, that timing, that was the timing Silky wanted to end the game with. Yes, he does have +1 Carapace done. It's not something that Jon Snow has. He's got his Hive. Well, doesn't have his Hive yet, but he does have an Infestation Pit, so he'll be able to get his Hive eventually. But that great big max out, that was going to be the story of the game for Silky one way or the other. And now Jon Snow, his army value is much higher. Well, it's actually not much higher just yet, but let's be real. It is a superior army. So now it's a game. Silky says, yeah, let me send roaches into the natural. Let me try to buy some time. And that's a low nat. Oh, is he going to get the natural?
He might, and Jon Snow never rebuilt lurkers, and I don't know why. He needs lurkers right now. He is going to take an engagement on the left side, which he will be able to kind of crush. So at least he gets something, but losing that hatchery, the natural, is a pretty big deal. Oh, and he loses track of the 2 roaches in the main base. Hello, Jon Snow?
He's going to be able to clean it up eventually. Really not taking too much damage from that at the end of the day. And, I mean, remember, Silky's supply is not incredible. He's been trying to go for these big roach max outs. And when you're a player that has purely roaches, maybe some ravagers, but again, high supply units, and your opponent has lurkers and hydras and some vipers on the way, the fact that you're down 15 army supply, 10, 15 army supply is pretty terrifying, abjectly terrifying. Now, Silky's going to look for the transition into this style that Jon Snow is playing. Well, his Hive is halfway done. He's got a Hydrodin on the way. But I'm really, once these Vipers come out, I don't see how Silky ever takes the fight.
It's going to be really difficult until he gets his own Vipers out, until he can kind of complicate his own army enough to make things difficult for Silky, or pardon me, for Jon Snow, but he's not going to be able to do so. And we've got a lurker drop. Hell yeah.
Oh, man. Back when, you know, before we had this quick into Hydra Lurker Viper style, and before mutas kind of became really back in favor, the mutas from Silky will die, we had Cyril doing this thing, right, with just roach drops all over the place. That was how ZVZ was played, and it actually made Roach Wars rather exciting, so I'm glad to see the next level evolution. I think the last time I saw Lurker drops, they dropped and they died immediately. Shout out to that King of Battle series, but that was Raynor looking insane. And look at this. Silky's going to find a decent amount of roaches on the other side. It feels like Jon Snow may be trying to throw away a bit of his supply, but I don't know that his bank is good enough for it just yet. So really trying to get on top of this 4th base. Unsuccessful there. And Silky, he does have his upgrades on the way. Now, Getting +2 Carapace versus +3 attack is something I must question. It just doesn't really work out for you all that well, especially when we're talking about Lurker tech. But also, I don't believe there's a Lurker den. Oh, there is. Okay. Never mind. Lurker upgrades are on the way, but we don't have any Lurkers for Silky just yet. And here comes the army of Jon Snow.
Yeah, no Lurkers is a big problem. Nice Ravager's Biles right there. We'll be able to get one of those Lurkers. But there's a lot more behind this, and there are Vipers on both sides. Ooh, are we going to see Blinding Clouds? Nope. He doesn't want to use them. Of course, he wants to focus on abducting his opponent's Lurkers. If Jon Snow can get the abducts on both of those Vipers, that could be huge. Oh, but it's actually going to be Silky who... Oh my god, they both dropped the most pathetic abducts. Both of them just running away after that. Blinding Cloud from Silky is pretty effective. But Jon Snow, he's got these Lurkers behind this, and these are fully upgraded Lurkers with the +3 missile, with the seismic spines, with the adaptive downs, and he's just going to move into the natural. Meanwhile, a ton of drones going down at the outlying bases. And oh my god, just like that, it's GG.
Man, Lurker drops, we talk about them being pathetic, not being all that great. Well, they worked out in that game. 17 workers go down, and as you said, speed Lurkers, they can run right by the Biles, right by all those Blinding Clouds, burrow on Silky's face. That sounds rather painful, but they do. They burrow right into his face. They knock him down, kill him out. And that means Steadfast, far from being the 3-1 that I was worried about for a second, now it's 2-2 going into ace matches. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar, there are 3 separate ace matches in the CEA. Players pick aces for Series 1, and if however that goes, you keep going, but one player can only play twice. So it's not like we can have Zero be the ace player for all 3 of these series. It's not like Jon Snow could do the same. So there's a lot of thought that goes into, okay, do we send our best player out in first place to put us on series point? How does this work? And unfortunately, we don't actually have the scenario where we're watching this happen in real time. So I can tell you it's going to be Silky versus Larry for ace match number 1, PVZ. And was that what you were expecting, Steadfast?
Larry is a good choice. I don't think I would have expected Silky as the first player out, though. No, I would not have expected that. That's pretty cool, though. That's pretty cool. I think that's one of the matchups I'm like most excited about. I'll say that. Yeah.
Especially if he plays this new PVZ style that we've started to see, because honestly, I'm just a fan of it. It's really fun to watch. It's really cool to see the skill cap of PVZ really start to increase. So, hey, Larry, go triple Oracle. Mass Blink Stalker Pressure. It's a lot of fun. And it seems really strong. So, I don't know. That's what I'm rooting for. Nothing else.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that as well. I believe Larry is a big fan of adept play. He loves his adepts. And we'll see if he can bring those to bear in this next game and make something happen with them.
Sounds good. They say he's adept with him, but his opponents, he's a Zerg player. He plays for Psystorm, but also for the Shopify dropshippers. He is Silky.
And his opponent, spawning up at the top left for Amazon Alexa, it is Larry. In the blue. Oh, it's a gas first. Is this going to be a gas first, no scout?
I mean, look, it's Berlingrad. It's a short map. You're playing against a Zerg that just 12 pooled in the last game. Why would you ever feel like you need to scout?
Right? That's a bold move out of Larry here. A cool build to go for. But yeah, very, very bold move, because this does if Larry does not scout at all, this automatically dies to a 12 pool 100%. Now, Jon Snow versus Silky is a different beast than Larry versus Silky, mostly because Jon Snow and Silky, I think they probably both acknowledge that they're very similar in skill level. So trying to get something cheeky done and get an advantage, that's more likely to happen. Now, Silky most likely feels like he is very confident against Larry, and so he's probably thinking to himself, I don't really need to do anything crazy here, you know? Like, I'll just beat you in a macro game. So he's just maybe going to let Larry get away with a greedy move like that. And from that perspective, the game theory makes sense for Larry.
That's one thing we got to talk about here. Now, generally, when we talk about who wins in the game theory, who thinks about the series setup a little more deeply, we talk about Alifnot. Because I don't know the black magic that man summons, but he is incredibly good at finding those optimalities in terms of who plays when, who plays where, what the matchups are going to be, how that works out. But look, a lot of these people are CS, are computer scientists, they're software engineers. Game theory is a thing, and that's something that you think about when you're developing new ops. So it doesn't surprise me that we're going to see some rather interesting optimizations. And not even in terms of builds, but just in terms of what the hell these players decide to go for in terms of who plays. And you said Silky out map 1 of Ace seems a little weird. Well, Alphanot's a smarter man than I.
And you know what? I think him getting the matchup versus Larry is a very good one. I think that's probably the matchup they would be most happy with. Because Jon Snow just beat him, and in theory, you would want Silky. Amazon would want Jon Snow going up against Silky once again to knock out one of those aces, and then put Larry up against, Incarnate or Alifnot or someone who's going to have a bit of a tougher time against him. But instead, they managed to get I would say, a favorable matchup right here. So good job by Alifnot on the planning.
Now, doesn't this trade out a little bit though? Because then Silky's been spent. You have 0 left, but you assume that 0 gets saved for map 7 maybe. And if it comes to that, which would mean that you would have Incarnate or Alifnot playing map 6, and we've already had Alifnot had a massive upset. I feel like whoever you send out map 6 is going to run into Jon Snow, at which point, yeah, sure, Alifnot had a big upset. I'm not sure he's got another upset of that caliber in his toolbox.
No, but as long as you win this one, then you send out, you send out 0 for your ace match, and you don't have to go up against Jon Snow. You're sitting pretty. You're feeling good about that.
That's fair. You still got to play Goomba though, who's not the easiest player, certainly not in a TVT.
No, but 0 already beat him once in the match, so he's going to feel confident there. We'll see what happens, but I think at this point, if this does go in the favor of the Shopify dropshippers, I think you're hoping that Goomba ends up against Alifnot or Incarnate, whoever they end up sending out, and then you hope for the Jon Snow versus 0 Super Ace match to decide everything.
Well, that'd be hype as well. Jon Snow versus 0 is probably the highest caliber matchup we could get in this series. So, assuming we go to 7 maps, that would be exciting as really as all hell. But look at this though. We got Glaive.
Well, we got to see Overlord in the natural. Overlord just scouted the Glaives and just scouted the 2 additional gateways right there. So he sees that it is a 4-gate Glaives follow-up. That is huge that he gets the scout on that.
Just in time, and we see this immediately. The response from Silky. Roach is on the way. Ling's on the way. Queen's getting pulled together to deal with the first massive Adepts. I don't know how much damage this gets done, but Steadfast, let's be real. It's not about the big clump of Adepts in this style. It's about the 2 that survive afterwards and kill a mineral line anyways, because you think you've dealt with the pressures. Now it looks like 1 Adept is going to go low, not going to go down. And there we go. You love to see it. Full wall on the natural. These Adepts, they'll have only 1 spot that they can target, and they're not going to be able to get in there.
No, they will not. Now, this is a relatively small commitment to these Adepts. He only builds, what was that, 8 of them? 9 of them? 9 Adepts? Well, only 8 across the map, though, unless he... Yeah. Oh, wow. Larry hasn't lost anything yet. Nice.
Literally a perfect game.
Good defense from Silky, and I put him ahead, and he's gone double aggressive Evo Chamber here. Double attack upgrade style. Oh, I remember theorizing this style of play on a napkin while I was eating breakfast like 6 years ago, and being like, oh man, yeah, this is a cool style. This has legs. So I love it. It's got a special place in my heart.
Well, roaches have 6 legs, and lings have 6 legs, I think. So yeah, you're right. It's got a lot of legs. But this is also just really a hallmark back to when Roach Ravager Lingbane was the thing, right? That was when it was kind of known that you wouldn't be going to have to worry about Sky Touch, so you could kind of greed out for ground timing a little bit more. double Evo, double upgrades was kind of a thing. Now, of course, Zergs have forgotten about that a little bit because the last year has been, or the last year and a half has been, let's Queen Walk. It's going to be a Sky Toss. But now as the meta swaps back into that, I'm not too surprised to see this double aggressive composition, this double upgrade composition start to bring itself back into 4. But Larry is prepared for this. His Storm is halfway done, and Steadfast, all the Baneley nerfs that happened in yesteryear, Storm is even better. These Baneleys pop.
They do. Yeah, they are vulnerable to Storm is a good way of putting it. Now, I don't know if I like the quick into Storm per se. It can be quite good. He's trying to also go up into carriers very quickly. Wow. But Silky's been on top of this with his scouting from minute 1. He's got a changeling in here. He sees the additional Stargates. He saw the Storm getting started very quickly. This is so far everything. Oh God, the Immortal. Oh no. Oh, that's a huge mistake.
Well, you know what? Sometimes names are lies. It's not exactly all that immortal, but okay, +1 for the Protoss is done. Storm done here as well. But I'm getting a little afraid here of the supplies. Now, Adepts find their way into the 4th base. It's really not going to get much. 3 workers go down there. Charge lots in the 3rd base, or I guess the 4th, whatever it was. But they're going to run into a bunch of Banes and Steadfast. Charge lots, they don't like to hug Banes. They in fact, they explode there. 5 workers die, but 5 workers for, what was that, 7 Adepts and 7 charge lots? That is not cost effective.
No, it certainly is not. Of course, the Baneleys are not cheap either. But when I was probably what, like 10 Baneleys that he used? 10 Baneleys versus like 8, 9, 10 Zealots. It never shows correctly on the units lost because it shows what's killed, not what was like not what died, which is a weird thing. Baneleys have always had a glitch in that regard on the UI, but still, Silky's going to be happy about that.
Now here we got a big push coming in, but the supplies are pretty equivalent, actually. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. Force Storm gets dropped. I don't know how many more we have in this army. It looks like we actually don't. There's only 1 Storm in this army, and it does only go on the Lings, so the Banes are not really going to get what they want, but the Banelings, they try to roll on in. They're only one of them. They only have +1. +2's not done yet, and the Carriers Steadfast. Carriers have arrived. This Roach Ravagerling Bane composition, it does not shoot up. I mean, it kind of does. You can drop Biles, but it does not fight Carriers all that well. We do not have a Spire done yet. Larry's position here is going to be damn hard to push for the next minute or 3.
Yeah, certainly. We do have what looks like it was intended to be a Broodlord transition. I think as the Hive and Spire are timed up at exactly the same moment, which means you can start up a Greater Spire immediately pretty much as that Hive completes. But it is probably just going to be for Corruptors now. Probably just going to be normal Corruptors to try and overwhelm this. There we go. Yeah, starts up the +1 attack. Adrenal Glands immediately. Does he go for the double 3/3 attack upgrades? We'll see.
Well, Lings are certainly going to find the 4th base, and we talk about how hard it is to push into. True, if that's a well-defended setup, absolutely. When you just have a 4th base all in its lowsome, nothing there to prepare, yeah, that's a dead 4th. It's not really going to get what you want.
Larry lost the War Prism on the bottom side of the map to the Corrosive Biles from the Ravagers. That is a big loss. I just looked over and saw the aftermath of a dead War Prism, said, oh wow, those Corruptors must have gotten over there early. Nope, it was the Corrosive Biles that did it. So nice job from Silky utilizing the distraction of the Lings canceling the 4th base, getting 2 wins at once, and now he's going to go for another Ling run by into the natural. No unit in the wall. Oh no, Hero, is that you?
Well, there's a Carrier there. Carriers are units in the wall, right? That counts. And I guess he was relying on the cannons to do something, but it's not really working all that much. So 10 workers go down here. Biles on the Carrier is not going to kill him, but any sort of damage when the Corruptors eventually they sweep on through, that will make a big deal, especially as these Corruptors will have +1 pretty damn soon. But Larry is +2. It's not there yet, so we don't have the much vaunted +2 Carrier timing, but even still, a couple of Mortals, a lot of Storm, Carriers running on the other side. This army from Larry is scary, but it's not this army from Silky is not the easiest thing to fight. Oh no. Oracle goes down immediately. Now it's so hard to see things, but Storm is nice. And, well, Queen's here are going to transfuse, so I don't really think this gets all that much done Steadfast.
No, not so much. Parasitic Bomb coming on in. We do see the Storms. They are pushing this army back. But yeah, Larry cannot push on to creep, I don't think, right now. There is a big concave, big storms, but it's mostly on Queens and a few Ravagers. All the storms are now gone. It's just Immortals left over, and Silky is absolutely going to hold here and crush the army of Larry. And I think, well, you can't recover from this. Yeah, it's nearly an 90 supply lead at this point.
He's playing silky smooth, and Larry's not going to be able to come back from that one. The Corruptors, they're just going to pee on this building. The Ravagers, the Roaches, they show up as well. This is going to be a dead fourth base, and then Silky, he's on 5. He's got, well, actually, a lot of Zealots look like they're going to be able to deal with the army on the ground. But again, the Corruptors, they're going to kill the base anyways. They don't really care about that. And more Roaches, more and more Lings arrive with these highly upgraded units. Yeah, the Zealots, they just pop. That, yeah, that's not going to do anything. GG. Now, folks, Shopify, they're up 3-2.
Yeah, well done by the Shopify dropshippers. Solid stuff. And like you said, they're on match point. Now, here's the tough question. Do you send out Jon Snow? Do you send out Jon Snow and say, if you hold back 0, we're dead? Or do you, or maybe not dead, but like we have to look for a very big upset from Goomba? Or do you go with Goomba and say, I don't think you're going to send out 0 now? Or, 0.
Well, you know what? I do have some information for you. Because it will be Alifnot for map 6, just as the sacrificial pick. Jon Snow is here. And so I'm told the way this worked out was 0 kind of flipped a coin. He's like, okay, do I go map 6, map 7? Do I kill Jon Snow? Do I kill Goomba? Again, we don't know who wins this series. And he said, look, I think it's going to be more epic if I win map 7 than if I win map 6. So Alifnot, go try to do a massive upset. That's the plan.
Fair enough. Pretty awesome.
Those are, do you remember Minigun?
I do remember Minigun.
I'm just thinking if it reminds me of one of Minigun's nicknames. And we'll keep
There's
it at
so
that.
many of them.
So many of them.
There's a lot of nicknames. I'm pretty sure I came up with a couple of them. You know, but or maybe not came up with, but definitely brainstormed a few of them.
Propagated it.
Yeah.
But certainly, yeah. I mean, look, imagine if Alifnot, he knocks down, he already has the one upset map 2, and then imagine he knocks down Jon Snow here. I doubt it, even if this is a rather Terran favored map in Curious Minds. But imagine if that would happen.
Imagine. John Lennon.
I know. I was like, I can't think of any more words to that song. But anyways, we're gonna get into map 6 now. It's Alifnot, Jon Snow.
So it is. As we have spawning down on the bottom right for the Shopify dropshippers, it is Alifnot.
His opponent to the Super Ace, at least one of them from Amazon Alexa. He is Jon Snow.
Well, this is a best case scenario for the Shopify dropshippers. Sacrificial lamb, like you said. Is he going to be able to take the map? Probably not. Has he drawn out their best player? He certainly has, and this is a very good situation. Jon Snow says, damn it, I just got to play safe. Could open up with a 16 pool. Doesn't want to get cheesed out. And you know what? I think this is the right call. And he can even turn this aggressive if he wants to.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed because Amazon, their team is Alexa 12 pool. And I got to be careful to say that because I have one of those devices in my room and I don't need it talking over the broadcast. But, hey. Kind of disappointed that Jon Snow did not hark back to his team name and Alexa 12 pool. But, you know, I guess 16 pool is good enough, right? Close enough.
That's close enough. We are going to be seeing, by the way, the Queen, so it won't be a very quick Roach Warren, at least. If it is that Roach Warren first, obviously it's going to be some aggression. If it's the Queen first, you still can theoretically go for the Roach Warren, but it's not going to have the same level of punch to it. So usually you won't see anything like that. Looks like The SCV is going to try and get in here for the scout. Will be able to get that scout. Didn't see the other 4 Zerglings. And this Reaper might... Oh, it is going to find... Oh my god. Oh, never mind. Okay. Well, they saw each other, and it looks like Alifnaut didn't actually see it.
I mean, you gotta know that this is gonna happen. You see those 2 lings, and you see the natural not done. You know this is an aggressive opening. The thing that Jon Snow is trying to hide is how many lings are there.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. But you normally keep that Reaper at home in order to prevent exactly what we're seeing right now, which is a dead SCV and a potential cancel on a command center. Now, oh, why are we going up? Hello?
What?
Jon Snow, what are we doing? Okay, he does kill off the SCV, thank goodness. Weird move to leave that, and now he starts a Roach Warren. Okay, so he sees that his opponent went for the scout, and will elect to now go for the attack afterwards. That's a cool mind game. He says, "Oh yeah, no roaches here." No roaches here, and he did transfer drones away from the main base to the natural to make this look more normal. That is a cool little move right here from Jon Snow.
Steadfast, you've been looking for that to be a thing all series ever since you misread the Silky one, so I'm glad that we finally get one of those
I'm glad
here.
it worked out, yeah.
But okay, Alifnaut will scout this out anyways. The question though is whether he has enough time. Is that Reaper will go down, but what do we have? Do we have... No roaches have been made.
Yeah, he gets it scouted and he says, okay, you have to respond to this. I'm just gonna drone now.
It's a triple mind game.
It is a triple mind game, but it's one that puts Jon Snow into a weird position because he was really angling towards that roach attack, and you can see he's floating so much gas. He's not in the greatest spot economically. He just now caught back up in workers. He would be able to build a lot of workers, but he was holding larva as well. This is a really good situation in theory for Alifnaut. Oh, but he's gonna start up another bunker.
Oh, well, at least... Well, hey, look, you can salvage bunkers. It's not the end of the world, only the beginning of the end. And you're right, technically this is a good move for Alifnaut. Now, Jon Snow... Sorry?
Depot top hat.
Ah, yes.
I've got a new emote that's Depot top hat.
Jealous, man. You and your partner status, you get so many more emote slots. I have room for 9.
That's pretty good. That's really good. I actually don't know that I even... How many emotes do I have? Ooh. I think because now like animated emotes are their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, Alifnaut was a little bit supply blocked at 46, so a lot of that lead kind of evaporates a little bit under that. Third command center is going to come on down. He did build a Banshee defensively for safety. Does salvage these bunkers, so he knows that nothing's coming his way. And, oh, we're actually going to see Spore Crawler. Wait, what? He's building a Spore Crawler. He's putting it in like an anti-liberator position at the main. That's a little weird.
I mean, I guess it also can be an anti-Banshee placement too, just as they run in and you get a lot of damage done. Especially if there is no cloak, which there's not. And I believe he had he had Overlord in the main base, so he saw that there was no cloak, or at least he saw there was... Yeah, so that should really be the tell. Because I believe he did see the Banshee out. That being said, Steadfast, how far ahead did Alifnaut have to get from the early game to have a shot in this game?
Unfortunately, more than he was. He did get actually pretty decently ahead. If he had made no mistakes, you know, maybe he's actually in an okay spot. Unfortunately, getting that supply block there, getting bamboozled a little bit by the build from Jon Snow, it's taken a toll, and now we've got the 1-1 upgrades for Jon Snow. So Jon Snow was talking about that gas he was floating. He puts it to good use with some very, very quick 1-1 upgrades. He's going to have an incredibly strong roach timing. He could potentially just go straight up into 2-2, or he could try and kill his opponent with the 1-1 roaches.
Man, I'm just... This is Curious Minds. If the Zerg gets here, there's a reason that this 1-1 roach timing, yeah, it's a weird way to get into it with the whole, I'm building roaches. Actually, I'm not building roaches. The Banshee goes down. Hey, there we go. The Spore positioning perfectly. Jon Snow predicted it 2-3 minutes
predicted
ago.
The future.
There we go. It's all fine. No, this is Jon Snow. Future's a Terran player.
True.
There we go.
Oh, the corrosive bile attempted creep tumor. Yeah, you didn't see it, but he tried to throw down a creep tumor. and he hit like C to build a creep tumor, but it was just a corrosive bile at the edge of his creep. It was just funny. Sorry, didn't get seen, but
Efficiency
made me
plays,
chuckle.
you know. I'm sorry, I was too
Yeah.
busy staring in avarice at the Terran army. But here, Alifnot, he's got a double drop on the map. This gets pretty much... Oh, look at that. Jon Snow trying to be a little bit sneaky there. Say, oh, look, I know you're going to stim in. Let's drop those biles, but it's not going to work out here. But even still, this army does not get anything done. It's down 2 upgrades. There's a lot of roaches right there. And yes, roach play against a drop-heavy Terran can be scary. It's not the easiest thing to deal with because the roaches are just... They're not all that mobile. And on top of that, oh, biles, not going to land. Oh, wait, actually, one of them? No, okay.
Whoa,
Gonna get a little, but not enough. Roaches are not all that mobile, and they need a critical mass to really fight a Terran army, so it's something that you can look to abuse, but I'm not sure that Jon Snow is going to be abused by this. At least, look, there's a double drop on the map already, Jon Snow moving into the third.
Yeah, this is going to get very scary very quickly. Tanks, one of them actually 2 of them in a really good spots. Wait, where's the 5th tank? Okay, there's, well, 2 of them not really all that relevant right now.
That's a really good
cancel the
spot
command
behind
center. I lose the command center. Yeah, the one on the high ground is in a really, really great position.
And the amount of times, I don't think it's this game, but the amount of times we've seen a Terran player go and they get just socked into this position at the third where their base keeps lifting and lowering and lifting and lowering, and you lose a couple SCVs, but it's not that great. And eventually they hit 2-2, and eventually they just find themselves in a good spot here. Look at this. Alifnati's got to drop at the third base. He's just trying to target the base down. I don't think that's the play. There's a transfuse here, and no, there's a second. He's not going to get it, but doing consistent damage, and more importantly, he forces the army of Jon Snow back. But on the other side of the map, he's pretty heavily supply blocked here. All the supply depots in that wall, they've all gone down. As you said, the 4th base was canceled, or was killed, actually.
No, it was killed, yeah.
Sorry, well, canceled in terms of not existing on the map anymore. So you're not going to get that supply. And Alifnot, he needs his upgrades. He needs this stuff that he's just not going to be able to have for a while.
Yeah, you know what? If it's not for those supply blocks, I'm actually liking his position a fair bit. But instead, it is Jon Snow maxed out, gets a corrosive bile set on a tank, takes it on down very quickly. Alifnot, he might die right here. This is looking extremely scary. He does not have a whole lot of bio. The double drop on the other side of the map is still there, but it's not doing much. Huge concave setup from Jon Snow. This is looking so scary right now.
This is, and that supply block means it's only 4 tanks, even with the double factory. So here comes the army. Jon Snow trying to take his team to a game 7. The concave is massive. The army is tiny. Alifnot, he falls. He made a good run of it. But folks, it's game 7 for all the marbles. Do you play marbles that fast?
I used to collect marbles as a kid. I used to think they were pretty cool. I was like, oh man, look at all these patterns. These are awesome. But in terms of playing marbles, I played Pogs, actually. Have you heard of Pogs?
I've heard of Pogs. I never played Pogs.
It's
pretty pog.
Fun. It's pretty Pog. It was weird when I made that connection because I hadn't used Pogs in literally 20 years plus. No, 25 years at this point. Jeez. Who's the ace players though? It's got to be Zero and Goomba, right?
Yes, it is Zero and Goomba. There are no other options. Everyone else has been burnt. Well, I guess it could be Incarnate, and it could be other Alexa players, but it could be Light, I guess. But let's be real. Goomba is the highest skilled player left on Amazon, and you know it's Zero. Zero is the ultimate ace of Shopify. If he was not in the game 7, something's probably gone wrong. It means we're going to have a TVT that Zero has already won once. It's going to be on 2,000 Atmospheres. Steadfast, before we get into this final game of our corporate side, who you got?
I mean, you got to give it to the prophecy, the man from Canada, Zero. I was going to say the man from Busan because, it's Zero Hero, yeah. But the man from Waterloo, I believe. He's done it so many times at this point, winning in the ace match. What's one more,
Well, actually,
what's one more at this point?
Yeah, the prophecy, I mean, that was 2 seasons ago. That was Zero versus, what's his name?
Front Stab.
Front Stab, there we go. Right? But
yeah,
Front Stab's not playing in this one. It's literally no one versus a walking mushroom in game 7. And I guess literally no one. Sure, he's favored. Absolutely. Zero and Goomba, folks. It is game 7 now. This one is for everything. And we're here.
That we are.
In the upper right. In the red, folks, put your hands together for the Shopify Rebellion, their super ace. One last time, it's Zero.
And his opponent, spawning down in the bottom left, for Team License to Kill and Amazon Alexa, it is Goomba. Can he keep his head safe, prevent it from getting stomped on? We'll see.
It's a very... oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go on. We're going to be seeing a very caster chicken right there. We're going to be seeing a very interesting opener out of Zero right here. He's going to go for a gas first, one racks expand, it looks like.
Yeah, that is not... this sort of Reaper expand idea is not something that you see all that often. Not really. And also, this is a weird depot spot, Steadfast. You're never going to get a wall off here now.
Oh, that's a mistake for sure. Yeah, that's a big oopsie.
Zero is the super ace. Literally everything we're looking at right now is mind games. If he places the supply depot a little bit differently, it's a mind game. It's not a mistake. Absolutely not. No, this is a 10,000 IQ play.
Paddling in the school canoe? Oh, you best believe that's paddling.
But it is interesting here to see this Reaper expand on game 7. Now it's 2,000 atmospheres, right? And that is a bigger map. And we do know Goomba at least has shown this desire to play mech, which maybe makes you feel safer. But we're gonna have to see how much damage Goomba gets done, because he went for the standard Barracks Double Gas Factory, and there are reasons for going for that normally. On the one hand, it's nice. It is defensive against aggressive builds. On the flip side, if your opponent does something like a Reaper Expand, you would have a lot of stuff out on the map early and look to punish.
Yeah, exactly. It's there are valid points to it. Oh, first Reaper shot from Goomba does come on in here. And now the grenade actually hits Zero's Reaper. But with the Marine showing up, he will not only be able to save that Reaper, he saves the SCV building the bunker. So, nice defense from Zero. A little bit scary for a moment, but he holds no problem.
Question is whether he's going to be able to hold when the additional Reapers arrive. So now Reaper in the main base. I think Zero got the first shot on that one. No, he didn't. So Reaper from Goomba, again, taking the positive trades. But we do have Hellions on the way. So Zero should eventually be able to hold this early shenanigans. But, is that an SCV? No. Did he get an SCV?
No, it's a Reaper for Reaper.
Okay.
That was really weird, though, because it looked like Zero had the extra damage. Ooh, we are going to see an SCV going down in the natural, though. Zero could have jumped into this bunker here with this second SCV, but he doesn't. Oh my god, he actually loses it. Well, that's a big oopsie. And now we're actually seeing a fair bit of damage coming in from Goomba. He's going to be able to grab a decent little advantage, and the supply depot being out of position actually does have an impact there, as the Hellion slips through much more easily than it should have.
Did the Reaper just really up and away for you on your screen like it did for me?
Oh, no, it didn't.
You know the lawnmower meme? Yeah, the lawnmower that just goes up into the...
Like people need me?
It was literally like that. It just kind of held its Superman pose and just went off into the sky. My people need me.
Speaking of what people need me, Zero going for a medevac here. Is he going to go for some kind of Marine drop? The answer is absolutely going to be yes, because it literally couldn't be anything else. Unless, of course, it's double Cyclone, but it won't be.
I mean, he could go and he could drop SCVs in the bottom right corner of the map and proxy a fusion core. Technically, this is possible. It's not going to happen, but you said literally, and I choose to. Well, actually, I guess the dictionary's changed, so I can't take you at your word. Damn.
True. Yep. Literally does mean figuratively now.
Still not over that. It's been like several years since that was canonized, codified, and I'm still not over it.
Imagine being someone who works at the Oxford Dictionary Company, and you have this passion for language, and another person approaches you. It's the 50th year since this has started happening, and they're like, "PogChamp, put it in." You're like, "No." And they're like, "Put it in." You're like, "No, please no."
What has Goomba saying no here? There's 8 Marines in this drop. They actually, I don't think they got that much. Yeah, they only got 2 SCVs, but they forced the big pull. They forced energy off the Raven. That's the big deal. And some bloody damage, whatever. But energy off the Raven, getting a couple workers is a nice start for Zero, especially considering he's gotten away with a greedier opening. Reaper Expand gets you more SCVs, it gets you mules faster, and it gets you just into your tech maybe a little bit sooner. Well, actually, that's not true because you have less gas, but it gets your economy going a little bit faster.
Yeah, it does. It's, anything to disrupt your opponent is generally a good thing. It does trade the Marine for the SCV, but that's always a good thing. If he could have gotten that depot, would have been really, really nice. Zero is starting to pull ahead a little bit in terms of supply, and Goomba, I think, wants to go mech again. He's getting single NG bay, and he went relatively quickly up to those additional gas, and we still don't have... Yeah, well, more than anything, he just doesn't have additional production at this point. And that's pretty telling in and of itself.
And here come the factories. So Steadfast, you did that caster thing where you said, I have a feeling something's going to happen, and you don't have the tell of it yet, and then you look really smart because they do it immediately.
And here comes the pretzels.
I want some pretzels.
It's a Simpsons reference.
I grew up under a rock.
Fair enough.
I wonder, though, people, those of you at the watch parties in person, do you have access to pretzels? Like, this is the important thing. Have we made you hungry? Are you buying more things from the watch party venues? Because if so, you're welcome.
Hotpretzels.com. It's not a website.
I mean, it could be. I don't know.
I like the concept of making up fake taglines for stuff and doing it in like a real announcer voice. Yeah. It makes me smile. It makes me enjoy things,
You talk about that, I swear. So after COVID, and as things are starting to come back to normal, regardless of whether or not COVID is done or not, things are going back to normal, and concerts and whatever are starting to happen. And I think there needs to be like a rock or metal band just called Super Spreader Event.
Oh my god!
Because every concert, just saying.
Oh man!
Oh no!
Yeah, we do have the ping. I saw this a little while ago. I didn't even point it out because I was just like, oh yeah, the SCV is just there. Yeah, that SCV's been there for like 2 minutes.
And you see the look on his face too with the skin that he's using. It does look like a sad face on the SCV.
Oh my god, that would be so good if you could get designs on your units. Oh my god, why is that not a thing? Blizzard, please.
In terms of, you can get decals on your units.
You can get decals, but imagine if you could get really intricate, put emotes on their masks or something,
Oh yeah. Well, Frost Giant, please. That's all we can say. As here we got the push from Zero. I don't know that he knows that this is mech just yet. I mean, I think he can assume because it's Goomba. But this drop of the natural, this should not get much done, at least until these missile turrets go down. And that is one big explosion, Steadfast. One less missile turret gracing the earth, but as the Vikings arrive, again, you're not going to be able to really get your way into the natural all that easily.
Yeah, not without running the risk of a lot of losses. There's a Cyclone there. There's still another missile turret. There is, like you said, those Vikings, or there are those Vikings. There's going to be second armory coming on down behind us from Goomba. He didn't initially go for double armory, and we do have double upgrades on the way now for Zero. Still hasn't gotten that SCV out of its little prison. He's trying. Oh boy, is he ever trying. Oof.
He's really struggling there.
Oh boy, that's a bad time to be that SCV. So he's clearly selecting his idle worker button and being like, go back to work. I told you, go back to work. And he's like, I'm trying, boss. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, see, the SCV has spent too long working from home over the last year or so, and he's kind of forgotten what it's like to commute. And he doesn't actually know how to open his door. He's just kind of locked inside. He doesn't know how to touch grass, and it's a bit of a problem, but I'm not sure he's ever going to learn to touch grass this game.
That's a good question. It's been there a while. All he needs is literally just a medevac to zoop over, pick it up, and send it back, but no sign of that so far. Meanwhile, we do have oh, that's not a fourth base. Fourth base coming in over on the right side. And Zero, he's looking to skirt around here. The barracks does spot this army on the left. And the Vikings are going to be able to move forward. We could have gotten a couple of medevacs, I think, for free maybe there.
Now, Steadfast, I wonder here as we got to push on the right side. Ooh, that's a big secondary tank shot, but not a lot of anti-air right now. So Zero says, let's drop on top of this friendly fire, kill off a couple things. That sounds nice. One medevac goes down, but still, you trade bio for tanks, and you're gonna be kind of happy with that one. I wonder if we've just hit the point where you're not going to break this meching army anytime soon. You know, it's over 150 supplies. The bio looks to stim on it. Oh, that's going to be a couple Ravens, a couple Vikings go down, targeting the Raven down first. That's nice. But in general, whether we just kind of hit this 150, 160 supply inflection point where breaking a mech Terran on 4 bases just becomes really, really difficult, and you got to go to your next level of tech.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Now, 2000 Atmospheres is the kind of map where there are some tight chokes, but as you take more and more bases, it does get more and more spread out. So it's going to be more and more difficult to defend all of those bases. Of course, the sensor towers provide a lot of coverage, allow you to do so very cost efficiently, but it does become more and more difficult. And as well, we got to talk about this big Raven transition that is coming in out of Zero and is going to be, well, it's going to be the answer to mech. It is so good against mech play in general.
I am somewhat surprised to even see Zero getting his 3-3 on his bio, because as we see these late game transitions, it just feels like a lot of gas that's never really going to be super relevant, at least certainly not against a bunch of Hellbats and tanks and things like that. Certainly your armor doesn't matter. +2 tanks, one-shot Marines, regardless of their upgrades. So I don't really see how much value it's going to add, but hey, you know what? It means you kill command centers faster with Marines later on. That's something.
Yeah, and if it ever does end up being, you know, Hellions or Hellbats, the extra survivability on like Marauders and Marines is I mean, it's better than nothing. It's not huge, but I do agree with you. I kind of like the decision to skip 3-3, at least for a little bit. We are going to see the army of Zero trying to get in position here. He's not going to be able to find it, though. He scans, he sees that his opponent's army is all there, and actually kind of caught weirdly unsieging, resieging. He is going to get, well, cleaned up here as these tanks siege up for Goomba. That's going to be a good defense fight for Goomba.
Yeah, he said, I want to take the fight. Then he said, no, I don't want to take the fight. Then he said, yes, I want to take the fight. And by that point, the tanks from his opponent were already sieged. It's not really what you want. His bio, it's a single drop, a little bit more, and the medevac goes down, but a bunch of Marines in the natural, and these SCVs don't have upgrades. They will be paper. As a lot of work is going to go down here. That's a lot of damage there. 14 work, well, I guess something like 12 workers go down. Now, Marines, they're targeting the command center, but there are tanks here, and tanks are doing a pretty good job of that one. Actually, no, they're just out of range, so now they're dead. Okay, now they're dead.
He also got a high-value depot that was top hat dropped. Now, fortunately, there's a ton of command centers, so it doesn't even actually drop Goomba below 200 supply cap. Still, that's kind of nice. Ravens, though, oh man, look at that clump of Ravens on the right side getting ready for this fight. We are seeing Goomba trying to move forward with the Hellbats. Oh, the interference matrices, they got to drop right now. The Vikings are in the wrong position to prevent this, and this is going to be so devastating. So many tanks getting shut down, only 3 of them still active, and we are going to see Zero shutting down all but 1 of them now. The Marines do need to get in here before the interference matrices expire, and they will. And they just gutted that entire Terran army.
Oh, man, that's a massive fight, but there were not a lot of Marauders there, so these tanks, they lasted much longer than you would have expected, even with just +1 armor. And as the Vikings landed, we saw supplies kind of equalize, you know, and yes, of course, this is, oh, big Widowmite shot, a bunch of Ravens.
That's not supposed to happen.
Oh, no, it's not. I don't know how much it's going to matter necessarily, but the big deal also, these tanks go down. The Viking count from Goomba has been reset. He's on 7, and briefly, I think he was on 0. It's a lot less to really deal with these Ravens right now. So Zero has a big timing on the map right now to try to knock a base down, do something like that. But of course, with all this is an army that is 95% Marines, right? It does not kill planetaries all that well whatsoever. Widowmite shot once it. I don't know when he made those, but those are some of the more value Widowmines I've seen in a TVT.
that was not supposed to happen. That was absolutely not supposed to happen, but yeah, that was a value mine right there. A bit of an oopsie by Zero, not a huge deal, but yeah, like you said, it's very weird to see this number of Marines, 51 Marines against mech, and it's causing him to have a much more difficult time of this game than he ever should in a situation like this.
Now, Steadfast, my question for you, well, I have many questions, but how do you feel about the Thors right now? I mean, yeah, it's pretty good against these Ravens unless they get shut down, and that doesn't really matter. Big push on the right side. 2 Thors, 3 tanks. They pay that price. But again, Thors are... I mean, you already have a lot of Vikings. Why do you add the Thors as well? That's a little weird.
It is. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, to be honest with you, and it's actually just a more expensive thing to get. It makes the Ravens more valuable by being able to drop the interference matrices. Tanks are almost not quite half the cost, or sorry, they're a little more than half the cost of a Thor. So you're basically just boosting the value of the Ravens interference matrix on that unit by almost 100%.
Exactly. What you're telling me, Steadfast, is so cool with the Raven, never Thor. But that's a big...
That was good. Oh, that was so good. Oh my God, that was goated. Okay, we can wrap it up right here. That was perfect.
All right, but I was going to say, yeah, it's a nice concave. Zero's got set it up here, but not really. Now the tanks, they arrive forward. Vikings doing a really good job of zoning these Ravens out, and that's a big problem. The Ravens have to be able to get in past these Vikings to make anything happen here, and it is a big struggle. All the tanks are sieged up. That's not the fight you want here, but now here come a bunch of tanks. They found the inside route. All the tanks, they get disabled, and Zero comes to me, and a little bit extra energy for auto turrets as well, but the bio is not really clearing through these all that quickly. Now it is, and it looks like the tanks, regardless, they're not going to be able to get too many shots off. But this is still a rather red army, and Zero... I'm always surprised because you feel like these fights are going to be really good, and they are, but you feel like they're going to be even better. And
yeah,
they're just not as good as you think they're going to be.
And he lost all his Ravens for that. Every single one went down. He's rebuilding 4 at a time, and he's got the bank. He's up in terms of resources lost. But like you said, that looked like it was going to be a game-winning fight. Like, I mean, so did the one before, to be honest. But it actually didn't... It didn't go as well for Zero as I expected it to.
And big news in this game as well, the Viking count was not reset. Last fight, which also felt like a game-defining fight, all the Vikings went down. It was reset down to 0. In this one, it's going to be really hard for Zero to go back into his Raven count because we're still sitting at 8 Vikings. He's still making more. And now he says, yeah, look, I have unquestioned air dominance. I can get a lot of Liberators, and sure, maybe Marines against Liberators are questionable. They're not the most powerful thing, as the Hellions on the right side, not going to get too much. But when you have tanks buffering there as well, you have 2 areas of space denial, suddenly it really is difficult. Your tanks are useless, your Marines can't get on top of things, and it's just this game where you cannot stem in. And if we look at resources last year, Steadfast, that's where it actually, the impact of those last 2 fights happened, because Goomba, the mech player, finds himself losing 4,000 more resources.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. You don't want your opponent to be more cost efficient than you while they're going bio and have the ability to take more bases. We do see, by the way, that Depot, cheeky Depot, blocking the top left base. That is a really nice move. Goomba just started up 6 SCVs at a time. Is there anywhere that he's not fully saturated?
I don't know.
I mean, kind of, but like, a little weird.
You're at 77 workers. I think how many command centers do we have? Okay, it's only 4 orbitals. So, I don't know, but realistically, Steadfast, if you're at late game Terran, you do not need that many SCVs. You want enough to fully max out your gas mining if you're a mech player. But other than that, you have mules for that one. It works out here as tanks are going to siege up here. Zero caught in a bit of an awkward position as Liberators, they're going to siege up on everything, but this ramp is fully choked out. Zero's got to run, and that was a wonderful trade for our Goomba meching player. In fact, he finds himself for the first time in a long time up rather significantly in supply.
That he does. Now, Zero does have a lot of money in the bank, and oh wow, he fires up 14 Marines and 5 Ravens. What a production tab that is. That's a wild production tab. 3-3 about to finish up for Goomba, not quite done. But we're going to see these units on the right side. Oh, that's a lot of dead SCVs, and will be a dead tank that was for some reason, I guess, F2'd back home after harassing that bottom right side base.
It was unsieged because it had to deal with the 4 SCVs and the citizen's arrest, and I guess got pulled back into things. But I feel like this planetary from Zero is not going to last all that long. It feels like it's rather vulnerable to a couple tanks rallying over. But even still, all he has to do, he just needs to make sure that this Oh no, Zero's gonna have to kill his own supply depots. We got a big fight kicking off here in the middle of the map. Once again, Ravens drop their charges in the tanks. They're not really useful whatsoever, but a couple on the backside, not really. Yeah, there's just not enough energy anymore for the Ravens to keep doing anything. But the Marines, the Bio, they're still dying again. Goomba loses so many tanks. And Steadfast, if we look at this, this is 41 dead tanks in this game.
Oh my God.
Granted, 20 dead Ravens, but
somewhere Goody just threw up.
Oof, that's a callback. Does anyone in the audience know who Goody is?
Of course they do. They're historians.
Yeah, Elfnot's been playing since 2011. What am I saying? We know he knows at the very least.
At the very least, yeah. We do have an interesting scan coming in from Zero. He does see his opponent's army, and not interesting in the fact that he drops it, interesting in what he sees, which is his army kind of being pursued. Goomba is going to siege up here. Oh, will get one of those tanks with some very, very low HP bio. Meanwhile, looks like Zero was thinking about going for a big counterpunch, and he will go for that right up the gut. Scan sees that the army is not sieged up yet, and his Ravens can interference matrix all of these tanks, but he needs to do it now.
Oh, there we go. That is the disable that you're looking for. So the Bio, they can just rally in, and yes, Hellbats are great against a bunch of Marines. So long as they're able to get on top of things. This push on the right side, though, can't really get too much done either because there's a planetary. And I think this is actually going to work out rather well for Goomba. He's going to hold the right side, really not taking much damage. He's going to knock down this base because these are 3-3 tanks and they kill things rather quickly. But as I say that, Zero's army, he's going to run over to the left side. Tanks get disabled. They get knocked on down. The Bio killing the rest of them. And it looked good for Goomba. I mean, you don't lose a base, you kill a base of your opponent, but the repair was good enough, even as Zero's rather broke. But he's going to find the position on the right side before the tanks, they siege up. And now, this may be the fight. This actually is the fight. No question. Zero, he's breaking through in 22 minutes. He says the CEA is mine once again. 3 times now for Shopify, 1 for his previous team. And Zero, the unquestioned GOAT of the Corporate Esports Association.
That he is. Very, very well done right there by Zero, showing us why he is the king of CEA and why he is the GOAT as well. Very, very well done.
Absolutely. So, folks, normally this would be the time where we bring an interview in. But these games were played like 6 weeks ago. So that's not really possible. And especially as I know Aleph Not and some others are actually at the watch party. So, look, if you want to know who Aleph Not supports, if you want to know everything about Shopify's continued dominance about the CEA, go find him if you're in the New York City watch party. Go pick his brain, figure out how you can win the CEA next season. But we're not going to have him for an interview here, which means, Steadfast, well, we're going to have final thoughts. And then we're going to go to a brief break because the collegiate finals is on the docket after that. We have the replays for it. So in a little bit of time, we'll load up those collegiate series. We'll see who wins between BYU and UC Irvine. But before we move into that, Steadfast, this was a 7-game series. It was closer than I thought it was going to be. And that game 7 was fantastic.
Yeah, longest game of the series. It didn't look back and forth, but the supplies were like pretty close, even after some good fights for Zero. Ultimately, the bank of Zero, I think, is what won him that game more than anything. And of course, being able to constantly, I think 3 times he basically wiped out a fully maxed out mech army pretty much. So that's an impressive feat. But yeah, it was still pretty close right up until about the last minute and a half, 2 minutes. It was a very close series. Well done by both players.
Yeah, I didn't see the final count, but 42 tanks going down before that final fight is kind of gross. Kind of
staggering. Yeah.
I felt staggered. But hey, you know what? Ravens are good units, even if you lose 30 of them. And eventually you'll get enough to win the day. And that means Shopify for the 3rd time. They are the champions of the Corporate Esports Association Corporate Division. But now, folks, again, we're going to go to a brief break. When we're back, we're going to have the collegiate series set up. It's BYU versus UC Irvine. Again, the perennial favorite versus the upstart. Let's see what happens. But folks, for now, we'll be back. folks, we're back. It's been 5 minutes. It's been just long enough for us to refresh ourselves and get ready for the collegiate side of things. Now, I alluded to the fact that it was an upstart versus an old favorite, and that is absolutely true. UC Irvine has been here since the beginning of time. They have the iBuyPower esports arena that they're able to practice in. And then we got this team that started to make moves last season in BYU, but it feels like they might be approaching their final form now as they have made the finals once again.
Yeah, it's pretty telling that these guys are consistently in the finals. It's very cool to see. You love to see, an upset, but it's also cool to see some players, some teams kind of just showing up and being like, yeah, this is our territory. This is where we shine.
It is now BYU. We have to assume they benefited a little bit from another upset that happened much earlier in the bracket. The Colorado School of Mines, the number 2 seed overall, they got bopped by the Boundless boys from UW. And that meant that instead of having to face the number 2 seed in the semis, BYU had to deal with the number 7 seed, which they promptly dispatched 4-1. Now, Steadfast on the other side of the bracket, I'm not sure we really need to talk about UCI. They dropped 2 total maps on the entire way in the playoffs. They had number 1 overall seed. They had a bye. They're in the finals for the umpteenth time. Is this surprising at all?
I don't think so. I think you can safely say that this is where we expected them to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the teams that has an incredibly strong lineup. It is based, of course, around the power of Antis, but Veritas, good player as well. In this particular format, by the way, they only have 3 players listed on the roster. So maybe they had a little bit of difficulty scrounging up players, but Antis and Veritas on their own are very, very strong. So it looks like they were able to find a way to success regardless.
That they were. And Steadfast, on top of that, we should, again, for those of you that are watching are not aware, the format for this tournament, for this finals, is a bit different from what we just saw on the corporate side. The format is designed so you only need 3 players on a team because you have 2 1v1 setups in the first 2 matches, and then you have 2 2v2 games. And then you just can't have the same team play twice, and then ace matches go 1v1, 2v2, 1v1. So there's a lot more variability. This format really engenders far more upsets than even the corporate side does, because let's be real, even if you are a 7K player, you don't play a lot of TV2. And sure, theoretically, a 7K player should be able to carry regardless, but that has not been the story that we have seen over the seasons that we have been covering the CEA. And we're going to have to see if everything is different here. But Steadfast, map 1 was not a map swap. We're going to have a map that we have not yet seen in this format. It's going to be Moondance from TLMC 16. And I see you're a little excited about that.
Oh, I'm so excited for new maps. Thank God. It has been so long since we've had some new maps. I always feel like it's never actually been that long, but it just feels like so long. And then you get a new map, and it's a breath of fresh air. One of these maps, Moondance, I'm a big fan of it. There's a couple others that I really hope to see more of. Stargazer, I know that one's a little bit out there, but I'm really excited about it. I know you know as well, because both of us know, that there's 7 new maps that have gotten from the TLMC 16 that have gotten the ESL badge of approval, or rather they've been made into ESL maps. We're
Fingers crossed.
The hopium is real. The hopium is real.
Well, I don't know. All I know is Moondance is a beautiful map. So Steadfast, let's feast our eyes on a beautiful new map, because map 1 here is ready in our grand finals. Let's do that thing.
Hell yeah. Spawning down in the bottom right for the UC Irvine Orange Farmers. It is Apprentice Esports Antis.
And his opponent also rocking the Protoss in the upper left in the blue for BYU, Shadow Thor.
We've got a proxy out of Shadow Thor. Also, we've got Antis, the Zerg player, playing Protoss.
You know, Steadfast, let's be real. Zerg players off racing and dominating his Protoss. Name a more iconic duo, but also if this is your off race and it is for Antis, we do have to assume that he has a little bit less practice holding off, say, a 2-gate cannon rush that Shadow Thrower is going for right now.
Certainly. I think you can say that with a high level of likelihood. Ooh, but it looks like Antis sees the second probe. So, well, actually, he saw the second probe first and then sees the first probe second in terms of order of operations. But now he sees the cannon, or rather the pylon starting up. There is going to be a low ground. Well, there's going to be a wall right here. Where is the... There's nothing that actually stops the Zealot from getting out here. Where's the cannon? You got to start that up right now. Is this just going to die? He doesn't have anything that actually blocks this.
Well, he's trying to block, I guess, body block with the probe. It's not really going to work out. Oh, the probes are going to get caught.
No.
Oh, no, one goes down. And now with the 2 probes and the Zealot on this cannon will never get up. The second one's going down here as well. And sure, the cannons are not quite as important to this push as, say, a pure cannon rush, but you still very much rely on them for early DPS. But one cannon will arrive at the end of the day. It's not going to get many shots off, and there we go. It's dead, but it means the Zealot is halfway dead, and it looks like Antis is just going to wall up the high ground. He's not building much of anything. Now Stalker's on the way, so one cannon will arrive, Zealot here as well, and that means a little bit more damage. But now we're in a bit of a waiting game.
Antis actually underreacted to this a little bit. If he pulls a couple more probes, he shuts this down entirely. And the cannon doesn't complete. He doesn't have take extra damage on those Zealots. But regardless, he's got a Stalker behind this. The gateways are being wailed away. The cannon is not attacking the same gateway as the Zealots, so that's a lot of wasted DPS. But he...
Does the cannon have range to the central gateway?
I think it does.
Yeah, it does.
I think it does. Yeah, it does for sure. Yeah, if it can hit the top gateway, it can hit the middle one. I'm pretty sure. I like that Antis full walled. By the way, that's a smart decision.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest connoisseur of these type of cannon rushes, but anyway, the Zealots, they've run up now. A couple of them will go down, and Shadow Thor just gives up. He says, "Yeah, walls are scary. Walls are not my friends." Antis takes the 1-game lead.
Yeah. He does. That was a quick one. That was a very quick one. That was quick and dirty, and it's a 1-0 lead for the UC Irvine team, the Orange Farmers.
You know, it makes sense, right? Because if I'm remembering right, UCI... was it UCI that had a player that literally only cannon rushed in the 2v2?
There was somebody, yeah. Oh, no. That was University of Chicago. That was
yeah.
I Love Oof's brother.
Yes. Not... Begin with an R, I think. Anyway, regardless, that's not this game. That's not this series. Although maybe if Antis has been playing Protoss all season, which is not something I really know about, it would make sense that he had to deal with his fair share of cannon rushes. Rooster, there we go. Thank you, Luman, in the chat.
That checks out. That is for sure what it was. And speaking of Luman, it's Luman up next against Shadow Slayer is the name of the player.
And another new map.
Ooh. Aftermath. I have not seen this one yet.
Yeah, see, Steadfast. You're the good StarCraft player that like pays attention to new maps before they're released, and I say, I'm just waiting for the new map pool. And then when I see the blue post, I say, I can be excited about new maps, because I don't like getting excited if it's going to be sad in the end of the day. So you know what? That is my moral failing. This is a cool map though, and let's just get into it. Yeah, let's explore this thing.
Hell yeah, sounds good to me.
In the upper left, in the blue, his team is now up 1 after Antis made a fantastic hold. The Terran player, he is Luman.
And spawning up at the top right for the BYU hybrids, it is Shadow Slayer with the best of 55. The best of 55 clan tag. Is that a reference to 55? The old school like meme song? I can't imagine, like, with the you mad bro, I can't imagine it's anything else. But man, what a weird thing.
Steadfast, I'm not a smart man. I cannot tell you. But actually, wait a minute. I want to talk about Aftermath for a second because we have speed zone mineral patches on this map.
Yeah,
And
we
I have
do.
seen this theorized. I have no idea how this works out. Like, how
Neither do
valuable is it
I.
compared to a gold?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it is more valuable than a gold, probably. Because isn't speed zones? Well, okay, it's only travel time though, so it's not 100% of the mining, right?
Yes, I don't think it speeds up mining. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
speed
no,
up
it wouldn't
attack
speed
time.
up the actual mining. Yeah. No, it's just the actual physical movement. Oh man, I'm really curious about this
Which,
actually, and I also wonder how much it like affects acceleration and deceleration too.
hmm. Now, you would think this would be more valuable for a Terran than a Protoss, right? Because it would just increase mule cycle time. And if you get an extra
Oh.
mining off a mule, it no longer is it 250 minerals, it's say 300 minerals or something. That just massively increases the value of the energy of an orbital.
Yeah, no, well, it'll be 225 for the base setup, and then in theory it could go all the way up to like maybe 375, 400. And if that were the case, holding a base like this would be gigantic.
And of course, we have that
Oh,
mineral wall in the middle too, so you can kind of really directly interact with your opponent if they go for it. I am really curious to see if this even matters. I don't know if they're going to go for it because it seems like it's a rather hard spot to hold.
well, we got to talk about what Lumon's done here in the main base. He has gone for double factory. He has said, no, Beowulf and Steadfast, you do not get to enjoy this map. You will feel the wrath of my, I think it's a double tank play cheese off one base.
Okay, so let's think about this. Is there anything about Aftermath that makes Tank Cheese really powerful? That's a wide open natural, so it's not like you're dealing with a choke there. I guess you can you can directly rally over and siege up the pylon gateway cyber core, but it's not like well, I don't know if Lumon builds anything more because that's a wide open main base, or if Shadow Slayer builds anything more, because again, this is a wide open map. I don't know. I mean, yeah, early tanks are always good. Make no mistake about it, but I don't know that there's any part of this map that makes this particularly good.
No, I don't think so either. And oh wow, we've actually, uh-oh.
Oh no, that's a problem.
This is really bad. It's a charge load all in out of Shadow Slayer. Oh boy, is this the hardest counter build you could get?
Shout out to Pig Baby. Go like some double Tempest play. Probably that, but probably not.
Yeah, this is pretty close to as hard a counter as you can get. And the reasoning for that is not just because of the build order, but because it comes online so quickly. It is going to be off 32 probes. Shadow Slayer is already cut production on his workers for a while. His charge is nearly done. He's got 7 gateways on the way. And I mean, the tanks, SCVs, and Marines are coming across the map right this second. So he won't have a lot of production. This could still be scary, actually.
This may be one of those things where Lumon hits right before Shadow Slayer is ready. Warp Prism on the other side of the map. He's gonna. I think there are literally only, they're like 2 Zealots on the map. That's it, and they're gonna go down pretty quickly. But here come Warpins. 5 Zealots on the way. Charged about 15 seconds from completion, but the tanks have already sieged up here. And the Zealots, they're eating shots. Now, of course, Shield Battery is gonna be able to heal that up, but that means there's no energy for the Shield Battery to be even more powerful. A couple Zealots run on in. You gotta have those on hold position. And with these bunkers, this is starting to get a little scary here, Steadfast.
It certainly is starting to get a little bit scary. We will have a couple more Zealots warping on in. And the more time that Shadow Slayer can buy, the better this is. But he's just going to go for it. And, well, actually, yeah, he's just going to crush it. Yeah, no, this is in fact the build order counter that we thought it was. And just like that, we're about 8.5 minutes, maybe 9 minutes into the series in terms of playtime, and we are through 2 of the games already.
We're tied up as well, so we're guaranteed at least 6 games. But Steadfast, now we move to the part of this series that I get pretty excited about. You know, there's something I don't get to cast a lot of, but it's a good time. Because we get the 2v2s now. It's going to be Lumon and Veritas versus a Virtual and Tactical Nuke. Tactical Nuke is someone that you should recognize. Virtual is someone that is new to me. I don't think we've cast him before. And it's going to be on Nightscape, which is a map that I happen to enjoy because it is beautiful. And it is such a wonderful little bit of a difference from our standard, like, grim, dank Starcraft mapping visual idea, visual language.
Yeah, the glittering ashes effect. I've had enough of it. I've had enough of it. No more depressing dark. StarCraft 2 is depressing enough on its own. It's a hard enough game. We don't need to feel bad about physically looking at all this like lava bubbling to the surface and, you know, just like anger and hate. If you want that, you can listen to some intense metal and you can get that fill while you play your game. Let's get some nice greenery, some lush beaches, you know, some really, really peaceful stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't get that one, but at least we get shiny lights and fast cars, shooting stars, something like that. I don't know. I'm quoting a song, but I'm doing a really bad job of it because I am not a cool kid.
Airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars, something like that.
Yeah, there we go. But better than I. I grew up under a rock. I continue to live under a rock, but Steadfast sounds like your rock is, at the very least, is a smaller rock. So well done. Congratulations. Very proud of you.
It's more like I sit in the shade of the rock as opposed to actually being under the rock. So that's it's helpful. It's helpful.
Well, that makes sense. Wonderful. But hey, you know what? We got a map here. It's called Nightscape.
We do.
It's very pretty. Bright stars, shooting stars, all that. The song I will continue to mess up. Game 3. In the bottom left, in the red. We just saw him, but we'll have to see if he has a better idea in this game for UCI. Luman. And of course, his illustrious opponent spawning near him, also the Terran player, the captain, Veritas.
And their opponent spawning up in the top right for BYU. It is Virtual. And Tactical Nuke. Spawning in here for the hybrids. We got a double Terran faction coming out from Luman and Veritas versus a Protoss Zerg. Now, 2v2, it's a completely different ball game. You already alluded to it a little bit. It could not be more of a different matchup.
No, it really isn't. I'm somewhat surprised to see the mirrored setups like this because 2v2 gives you the opportunity to really find these combinations that shore up weaknesses. Of course, the strongest pairing, at least at the highest level, is people see it as, is when you go Terran and Protoss, and the Terran goes mech, and the Protoss player goes Mass Phoenix. So they go Skytoss like that, and it's just so much tempo control from the Protoss while the Terran player greeds out to all hell, gets a 150, 200 supply mech army, and then whatever would counter the mech army gets countered by the Phoenix, and then eventually they go into Curious as well. And it's this incredibly powerful combination. Now, we don't see that this game. We see TZ versus TT, and, you know, I'm just glad we don't have TP because we already had one. We've already had enough toilet paper shortage for my lifetime, and
aha. Rubby, is that you?
No, I'm worse, better. I don't know, something.
We are seeing, but is Luman going to be going for a very quick? Yeah, I think he wants to go for a very quick 2-1-1 with this. He's getting a second barracks behind everything. Both Terran players, by the way, are expanding on the high ground, which is, you know, relatively safe, but it can put you into a bit of a trickier position. Meanwhile, we've got a very fast Evo chamber out of Virtual. 1+1 melee lings are incredibly strong in 2v2, but they're less good against a double Terran team, I feel like, unless they both go bio.
Now, we got to remember here, as Reapers find their way in on both sides, that there are some 2v2 maps that have wide open naturals. This is not really one of them, as we can see here. Yeah, there's this spot, but it's not exactly wallable, but it's not super duper wide. And if you try to go through these rocks, I mean, that is a rather small thing. So link floods are actually going to be rather nice. And you caught it, +1 melee lings on the way, and Virtual's going to pair this up. He has, well, at least right now he's got a couple of depths on the way. He's adding that Twilight, so I think this is Glavelings. And if both Terran players go bio, that does strike me as something that would be rather powerful.
Yeah, it certainly could be a very nice combo. It will be that 2-1-1 setup, by the way, coming in from. Well, hang on. Can you? You can't get inside an ally's medevac, right? In a 2v2.
I have no idea. I know, like,
Oh wow.
a medevac can
this
heal
Reaper.
your allies' marines, I believe.
Yes, that is true. That is true for sure. 4 workers actually went down in total. That Reaper got a lot of damage done. Looks like Virtual was a little bit asleep at the wheel, and Lumon with some nice micro able to get some good work done. Yeah, so it is just going to be the normal 2-on-1. I was like, man, that's a really quick starport from Veritas. Is he going to do something crazy with this? No, he's going to be going mech. So it's going to be mech plus bio versus a Protoss Zerg team with the charge lot upgrades, and it looks like, yeah, Ling Bane with melee upgrades coming out of Tactical Nuke.
So the question we got to ask ourselves now is just how quickly are Virtual and Tactical Nuke going to be able to break Lumon and Veritas? Because I think if this game goes later, absolutely, Lumon and Veritas, they find themselves in a wonderful position. One player going mech, other player having a lot of bio. But Charge Lot Immortal with a bunch of Ling Bane that's a powerful early game army. And we do know that Lumon and Veritas, I mean, this is not a wall here, so the Lings can certainly flood on in. And here we go, Steadfast. Here come the Lings. Here comes the double Immortal drop. Are Veritas and Lumen, are they going to be able to stop this?
Oh, not if you get those Hellions surrounded in the middle of the map already. They run into this like little fog zone in the middle, and 2 of the Hellions already going down. This is, he's going to get into a nice position now. Oh, a very nice position right there. But he will still end up losing all of those Hellions. It was 4 Hellions to start, ends with 0.
That's some good math there, Steadfast. I'm proud of you. 4 minus 4 is in fact 0. Now the charge lots arrive. Immortal's got to get... Oh, Immortal's got to drop that one down. No, Lumon's not going to target it down. That was almost horrendous. And now the Banes, they come rolling on in. They're not speedy boys, so eventually they will go down here, but not before an entire mineral line evaporates. That's massive. Lumon, he has no mining, not a lot of mining left in this game. Immortals, wait, they're going to get the command center as well. At least it's burning. I don't think there's any world with this one where it starts to heal up here. Lanes, they got a second wall to go through, but they're just providing vision for these tanks to go down. This is a big problem here, Steadfast.
It sure is. This is a game-ending problem, in fact. Finally, the wall problem does get solved, but not before more units flood on through the open door. And I think, okay, he will save the command center, but he is... Well, Lumon can't do much, actually, against these Zealots. This is looking pretty darn over at this point. And I think we're going to see BYU take the lead in this series.
That's what it looks like. A tank arrives only to its doom. SCV's not mining on the other side, although Veritas, I guess, he is mining out of a gold, so there is something, but it doesn't matter if your entire production does get camped. Ling's killing Hellbats in a field of SCVs, because why the hell not? That's just how these things go, but really the problem is these Zealots. Lings right now, they're running interference. They're making it hard for Veritas, but Lumon literally on 9 supply. And there we have it. GG, they say. BYU, they go up 2-1 on the favorites.
That they do. The perennial finals team finds themselves down 2-1. And they'll have to turn things around with Antis coming out for the other 2v2. So because they only have 3 eligible players, it seems like each of their players will have to play in 2 2v2s in total. Now, it is worth noting that Antis has not yet played in the 2v2. So he will be there in, well, he played in the 1v1, but he will be there available for the other 2 2v2s. So if there was one to lose, it's that one, and I think you're going to be okay with it.
Yeah, I think so too. We can assume that Veritas, and actually I can tell you Veritas is not playing in the second 2v2, so he will also be available for the 2v2 ace. I would say should it become necessary, but it is necessary now. We know this because we are at a 2-1 scoreline, right? That does tell us we're going to go to map 6. So for right now, I mean, unless they slot in Loom, well, actually, no, they can't. So we know our 2v2 aces. Looking into the future, it will be Lumon, or excuse me, it will be Antis, and will be Veritas. And of course, on the other side of things, Steadfast, we talked about not wanting Grimdank maps anymore. Well, we do have some Grimdank names. Shadow Thor and Shadow Slayer are going to be on the other side here for BYU. And if you are a Shadowy Thor and your teammate slays shadows, I feel like that's a bit of a problem in terms of team communication.
It's certainly not the greatest synergy in theory, at the very least.
All right, well, we're going to get into map 4 here. Oratorio. They're going to tell us a speech, tell us a story, because we're in it. Let's go. In the upper right, in the blue, playing Protoss once again. His name is Antis. And his illustrious teammate looking to get his first win in this series thus far. He is Luman.
And their opponent spawning down to the bottom left for BYU. It is Shadow Slayer. And Shadow Thor. Oh, that is funny. I'm really glad we just didn't get a PP versus PP game.
Well, the game would never happen. You just have too many pauses.
Yep, exactly.
There are other jokes I could make, but I refuse.
I'm glad you did. I was just thinking of the production tab with all of this, all of these gateways on it. It just felt wrong to see that much production, that much Protoss production on the same production tab.
Steadfast, you're saying the word production enough that it's like starting to lose all meaning in my head. It's, you know, you're writing something and you say if a lot, like you're writing code, and just the term if, where it loses all meaning in your head. That's what you did to me right there, so thank you.
My pleasure.
I'm just glad you got a good pop guard, though. All those plosives. Positively perfect production plosives.
Positively perfect.
Oh, no. I'm not catching that one.
What?
Well, pop guard's supposed to prevent the plosives from really popping. Like,
pop guard.
pop, right?
Pop.
And if you,
Pop
because
filter?
it's that burst of air into your microphone, and normally you're not getting it because your mic's below your mouth. But if you pop right into it, you get that. Well, you get that burst of air. Undesirable.
Pippity poppity poop.
Wow, this is the best. I think this is the best early game fill that I've ever seen. Well done.
Oh, we're nailing it. We're absolutely nailing it right now. By the way, we got to talk about what's actually happening in this game. It is a one-gate expansion from both of the BYU players, and we've got a pretty aggressive move coming out of Antis, and Luman will take a command center, but this is definitely going to be some aggression.
Well, we got that 2-on-1 idea from Luman once again. He tried it last game, it didn't work, but we're going to have to see whether this one works just a little bit better. And Luman in general has shown himself, at least in this series, to be incredibly aggressive. We saw 2-factory tank that absolutely didn't work. We saw 2-on-1 that absolutely didn't work. But maybe this time, Steadfast, maybe the third time is going to be the charm. Maybe the aggression's going to work now.
Didn't Veritas go for the 2-on-1?
No. Veritas had 3CC. He took the gold. Luman had the 2-on-1. Veritas was going mech.
Oh, I got that backwards then. Oops. Antis going for a full wall at the front, by the way. That's a little bit funky.
Well, he is going to be able to take this base back here. So if he's got a War Prism, he doesn't really care about it. He will be able to knock the pylon down eventually, I guess.
Meanwhile, Immortal coming out for Shadow Thor. Void Rays coming out for Shadow Slayer. So, I mean, Shadow Slayer ironically using a Void Ray. Of course, the shadows are one with the void. They come from the shadows. And he chooses to go for Void Rays. So, I don't know, a little sussy.
Yeah, it's a little weird. And Shadow Thor is playing Protoss, so no Thor's there. I'm doubly confused.
Yeah, no, this is, I think this is, we can both agree that this is some kind of shenanigans. We are going to see the Stalkers moving in on the left side. They do find a scouting probe that approached their, or detected their approach. That's pretty nice for the double Protoss team. Antis just going to see what he can get done with these Stalkers. The answer is really nothing, actually, with the Immortal there for Shadow Thor.
And seeing two different colored Stalkers in the same army just feels really weird to me. Like,
It's
see
wrong.
The purple
It
and the
feels
teal.
wrong,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, what is this? But in general, this army that Shadow Thor and Shadow Slayer, that the Shadow Brothers are building, is really good against a bunch of Blink Stalkers, right? Immortals and Void Rays at the same time. They shred these armored units, but I'm a little bit more worried about this 2-1-1 setup because that will be a lot of Marines with Stim, and Immortals, they don't fight Marines all that well. Void Rays also don't really fight Marines all that well. You know what, Steadfast? Oh, he gets out. We need to nerf observers. There are too many times where they just barely get out of a scan range, and this is really frustrating for the Terrans. So I think we need to nerf it.
That was actually the funniest patch that's ever happened.
I can't believe that was actual justification.
Yeah, it was literally just like Terrans were annoyed. Big Gabe could have written those patch notes, and it would have made sense. He's just like, oh, observers, they're so silly. They just keep getting out of range. I scan and they die. They just don't die. This is silly.
Exactly. I mean, you know, there are comments that I will not make those comments as we got a fleet beacon on the way for Shadow Slayer. Again, we just got these two Protoss players. They're trying to steamroll into maximum tech as quick as you please, but here comes the army of Antis. And you did mention that's a full wall. It was beaten down. He had pylons to power things, so he's fine there. Third base is going to go down behind this. We got a drop on the right side with the 2-1-1. Lots of Blink Stalker pressure on the left side. I think this third base is probably just going to get canceled. I know Shadow Thor is going to be able to rotate over for that one, but is Shadow Slayer ready?
Antis drops the force field on the ramp to prevent that and says, no, you may not. We do have the splitting of the drops here. Void Rays in the main base are... Oh, where's the stim? Actually, he doesn't even need it. He's going to beat this one Void Ray. Does he beat both? Oh my god, he's going to kill both Void Rays. Oh, that's not supposed to happen right there. Oh, boy.
Now, I heard people talk about how Void Rays are actually Chad Rays, but no, these Marines, they are the true Chads of this game. Yeah, a couple of them die, but you heal 2 Void Rays for 8 Marines. You're very, very happy about that one, especially considering the fact that Antis, with that fantastic force field on the ramp, was able to deny the third base. So it's a, well, 2.5 base Protoss team. Shadow Thor does not have his third, but Shadow Slayer does at least. Against a Terran player that's macroing pretty hard. His third base is going to be on location as well. And, I mean, I like the economic situation that Antis and Lumon have, but 3 carriers at a time already on the way.
Yeah, carriers are pretty scary. Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah, he's already getting up into that +2 weapon. Starts up the Flux Veins upgrade as well. Says, I want my Void Rays speedy. They got to be fast. They got to be faster. They got to be nothing.
He gives no flux about what Lumon wants to do.
Perfect. You broke me with that one.
Like, that's not even that's like such a low-hanging fruit.
It really is, but I'm just so tired. That was a good one. I like that.
So Stalkers on the map here from Antis. I guess supplies are decent, but eventually this mass carrier army with +2, eventually +3 with all these Void Rays, this army that Antis is making is not really going to deal with it all that well. I mean, yes, there are styles we do go mass gateway against Skytoss. That's normally to tear the map apart. And, you know, I guess Oratorio is a fairly big map, so it is possible as the Stalkers blink backwards. Not all that much there. On the right side, well, I do like this, in that Antis is trying to target the ground army, where you can blink out, do very well, and just the massive amount of Marines are trying to deal with the Skytoss army, which is probably the best way you can do it. As he stims on in here, well, the Interceptors, they just go out and they're just dead. We have 18 Interceptors, but they're going down pretty quickly. Stalkers here from Antis, they're going to arrive as well, so that means some dead Void Rays. The bio is still a wonderful thing. There are no Interceptors in this army, and we're going to see one carrier not get targeted down. It finds high ground, but now the entire army of Antis and Lumon have found a position on the right side, and that means this 4th base will get targeted on down. There will be no saving it whatsoever, and Steadfast, this is the downside of blink into the main base here as, well, I guess the natural, nope, no carriers go down, but Shield Battery, he gets triggered, and Antis just gonna be able to blink back whenever he wants, but Steadfast, I'm not convinced he wants to.
Yeah, he's just gonna micro his way out of there, get as much value as he can. He gets a lot of those Zealots killed off. That was a really, really nice rotation out of Antis. He held his opponent in place on the left side and then rotates over to the right and manages to basically, they took a 2v1 fight there. Now, it didn't go as well as it could have. If Lumon could have delayed the engagement a little bit longer, would have been really great. But unfortunately for him, Shadow Slayer did force it. still, they were able to take a really cost-efficient engagement overall off the back of that. And we've got these High Templar. There's no Storm. I don't know why he's just building High Templar. Oh boy, he forgot Storm. Well, I mean, he's banking up so much energy on the High Templar, though.
Now, the Stalkers are starting to go down a little bit. Interceptor count, as long as it just fights the Stalkers, is fine, but you see them go over to the Marines, they immediately pop, so now the Bio's stimming in. That High Templar runs forward, but again, as you said, Steadfast, it's useless. Shield battery energy is mostly down, so the Stalkers, they bling on top of this army, and the carriers, they start to pop. Now, we want to see the Marines maybe help the Stalkers out. That seems like useful, because most of the Stalkers are now dead. Only one carrier went down, I think, and yes, Antis will be able to warp in more, but it feels like there's maybe a world where Shadow Slayer, Shadow Thor hold, but they need time, and that is not time that Antis and Luman are giving them. And look, Luman, he's sitting on, actually Antis and Luman both sitting on massive banks. Even if they don't break their opponent here, they will have enough to build another massive army and hit him once again.
Yes, they certainly will. Unfortunately for Antis, he tried to target down those carriers with 2 Immortals just shelling the hell away at his Stalkers. They had 8 kills and 10 kills coming out of that fight. And if Antis had just disengaged right there, I think it might already be GG at this point. Like if he had like gone over to the left side, or maybe had rejoined Luman's army instead. He is going to try and blink up into the main base. Will actually run into a lot of interceptors now, so he's going to be forced back. Shadow Slayer or Shadow Thor, I should say, is effectively almost knocked out of this game, though. And so this is still a really, really good position for Antis and Luman.
I mean, that being said, these carriers are about to hit 3-1-1. There are a lot of them. We're looking at 8 carriers, 53 interceptors, versus not a lot of Marines, not a lot of Stalkers, although I do love this. Antis has added in a bunch of Archons. That splash damage is super important. But this is a 2v2, and you cannot win 2v1. I don't care who you are, certainly not if you've got mass carriers. You just cannot cover the map well enough. So again, the carriers, they will be able to most likely clean this army out. These interceptors are terrifying. EMPs on the carriers does absolutely nothing. But the push on the right side that I assume is going to be coming in from a second from Antis, I don't know that Shadow Slayer is going to be able to deal with that one in time. Maybe he's going to have 1 recall, but eventually this will be a problem. As more High Templars are warped in, the more High Templars are doing nothing. They're just free real estate there, and these Archons, there are enough of them that I'm not even sure the carriers can fight.
It would certainly cost a lot of interceptors to go after this. That is for damn sure. He does have +3 weapons, though, on those interceptors, so they are going to be able to kill the Archons very, very quickly. But once again, it's basically a 2v1 at this point. Shadow Thor, he's still got a decent worker count, but he's, well, I mean, even then, it's only 37, but he's just so unable to help out in a meaningful way in this game right now.
I mean, I feel like his best approach would just be to try to move on to Disruptor Tech, and he probably could afford that even on 2 bases. You just get Rubber Bay, and that's literally the only thing you keep building. And then that deals with all these charge lot harasses, that really defends the carriers well, and then you just go for one big all-in push. But it's easier said than done here, and the problem with any 2v2 map, really, and certainly a map like Oratorio, this map is massive Steadfast. It is so damn big that the minute Shadow Slayer, Shadow Thor want to run across the map, Luman, Antis, they just run across the map and they kill you in 3 different spots. Look at this aggressive command center from Luman. That's a little cheeky, wouldn't you say?
It sure is. Very, very funny. By the way, Shadow Slayer, he's got a mothership with this. We do have Tempest trying to come in for...
Oh, no, the Immortals.
Oh, the Immortals. Oh, hello?
Oh,
Luman? Oh. Luman? Can we kill it, please? Please? I guess not. Oh, no, I guess we can. Okay. This is going to be actually probably a really bad engagement here for Luman. There is so many interceptors here. The Archons will show up now and will cover this. But look at how quickly... Oh, the storm comes on in. It is very good.
Oh, no, he clicked on the rocks for a second. That means the Archons killed so many of these interceptors. Now only 24 remain. The Bio looking to stim on in. Now the mothership goes down, which means these there's no invisibility, no help for this. Now the carriers, they have literally nothing left as the Tempests arrive as well. It looked so good, but you can't kill the rocks. You got to kill the stuff on the ground. And when the stuff on the ground survives, Steadfast, this is a problem. Shadow Slayer, he has the money to rebuild, but that's about it. Zealot's knocking down his bases back in the 3rd base, or back in the natural 3rd base as well, so he's really running out of economy. He's got 30 workers here, 14 for Shadow Thor, and the Tempest, they're just chasing him down.
that they are. The economy is broken for both players now. We've got a summon total of less than 40 workers. Meanwhile, 88 probes for Antis, 92 SCVs for Luman. They are cruising, they are cooking, and they are on their way to a victory here. And that's going to even the series at 2 apiece at this point. There's, I mean, if you get enough time to rebuild the carrier count or the interceptor count, maybe something can happen. He literally can't afford interceptors right now. And there it is. GG is going to get called. And Antis and Luman will take this one down.
Funnily enough, Shadow Thor had more money at the end of that game than Shadow Slayer did. But of course, that's because carriers auto-build interceptors, and when you run out of money, you do truly run out of money. But this feels really scary for BYU now, because we moved to ace matches. UCI has both Veritas and Antis as possible ace matches. Now, I would think you would just send out Antis first. Not what they did, but I would think you would send out Antis first and just say, guaranteed win. We're going to have Antis versus Veritas in the 2v2, or Antis and Veritas in the 2v2. Quick 4-2. But Veritas also very good Terran, and he will be our ace player for map 6 against, hey, you know, we've seen him a lot. It is going to be Shadow Thor, and again, he is not playing Terran, so I don't know what's up with that. I don't know where the Thors are.
I have run into Shadow Thor a couple of times. He does have some. He's got some builds. We'll say that he's a little bit of a cheeky player. Definitely likes to do some wild stuff. But we'll be getting into game number 5 momentarily. I think. You know, for this next one.
I keep clicking on the map. I'm like, double click. We're gonna be in the lobby, and then we're not in the lobby.
It is going to be Berlingrad though.
So of course the first 4 maps you can swap those out for their B side. Once we get to aces, those are defined. There is no choice there. It is just Berlingrad is going to be your ace map. X map is going to be your ace map from there on out. But Steadfast, you mentioned it. We got 2 players here. Ace map number 1. Who takes pole position? Is it going to be BYU? Is it going to be UCI? I don't know. We're about to find out, because map 5 is here. In the bottom right, in the orange, once again, we've seen 2 games in a row. He's looking damn fine. His name is Veritas.
And his opponent spawning up at the top left for BYU. It is Shadow Thor. And so far, he has not had things working out all that well for him in any of the games, actually. His cheese in the 1v1 versus Antis did not work very well. His play in general, he forgot that Storm in a 2v2. That was a big deal. I had a lot of high tempo that were basically just paperweights, and he ended up getting broken pretty quickly in that game. And so far, he just hasn't had much success today.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, they came out of the first 4 matches tied up. Anything can happen now. It is now time for Shadow Thor to redeem himself. Yeah, that cheese didn't work. Yeah, he forgot Storm, but I believe that he has what it takes now. You said he has some builds. I don't know what type of builds he has against Terrans, but you know what? Who knows? I'm always down for some cheddar. Although it doesn't look like we're going to see much of that this game. At least no early game cheddar.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he wants to put anything on the line. Obviously, you got to be a little bit careful. He knows that his team is really relying on him to get a win right here. So, I don't know. You don't want to have a tough situation. That is for damn sure. Oh no, warp gate. Ooh. Interesting.
Well, I mean, Robo. Okay, I was gonna say, you know what? Sometimes you go not in this matchup necessarily, but you go Stargate into warp gate, and that's what it is. But this is a similar idea. You get your tier 1 tech first, and then you go into warp gate. In this case, it will be a Robo, which signals some rather quick aggression as Veritas. He's doing the annoying thing. There's a bunker behind the natural, and we're gonna see some Reapers go into it, just denying mining for a while. And well, Shadow Thor had no pylon on the natural, so no quick shield battery, which means mining in this base is going to be denied for just about forever.
It's going to be a long time, that is for damn sure. Yeah, no, even in this matchup, I'm starting to see a lot more players going for the delayed warp gate into a quick Stargate. So which makes it even more surprising that he just went for the Robo here. Kind of a little funky. And shield battery will come on down, but like you said, it is going to be a long time before he can start mining. And there's 6 extra probes in the main. You want those mining at the natural for sure.
I mean, it's better than, not having them mine necessarily. And technically, you mine optimally up until about 21 workers. Thank you, Hots, for providing that information. But yes, optimal mining is only that 16 200 mineral patch. Or, I'm sorry, 24. So math is hard.
Well,
3 times 8.
Yeah, it's only for the ones that are longer, farther away, you know? Anything that's a close mineral patch won't get any efficiency benefit. Nice micro, by the way, from Veritas on this SEV. Oh, he does lose it now, but he's denied mining for so long, actually. That is actually very impressive.
It's just about 4 minutes. And that's how long it takes for Veritas or for Shadow Thor to mine out of the natural. And considering this is going to be a charge lot all in, you really want that mineral mining. Is this just what BYU does? Because Luan's
Shadow
opponent
Slayer did this.
Yeah, did the same thing. I mean, I'm assuming that these players are brothers, Shadow Thor, Shadow Slayer. I guess it's just the familial all-in.
It is entirely possible, and I mean, it's a strong all-in. It's very scary. Ooh, nice scan came down at the natural on the other side. Was able to pick off the observer. Good job. Veritas doesn't have a wall, but he has the startings of one. Now, of course, against a charge lot all-in, something like this wall is very crucial. Fortunately for Veritas, by the way, he has gone for a bit of a modified 2-on-1, so he's going to have a very quick stim. It won't be done in time for this attack, not quite. But well, actually, it depends how quickly Shadow Thor gets across the map, basically.
And the other interesting thing is the eBay is at the front here. Not something you normally see, which makes it so dang vulnerable. But, I mean, we'll have to see is another observer. Blood for the blood god, or, well, observes the robot. So oil for the oil god?
Yeah, exactly. Oil for the oil god.
The machine god.
Oil for the oil
on
baron?
Mars. The technocracy.
Ah, yes, a technocrat. You love them. Oh, God, these Marines, they do not want to be out there. No, that's so bad for Veritas. He just lost like 8 Marines for free at the front. Stim will complete now, and he's going to siege this tank on the high ground, but the bunker will not be repaired. This is so scary right now for Veritas. But look at this funnel.
Well, I mean, you say that. That's a lot of SCVs going down. There we go. Bulldog on top of this, but the Bio's actually there ready. They're going to try to target it down. Unsuccessful, though. Even still, the army does fall. Zealots and the natural are mostly gone here. And yeah, the bunker died. Yeah, 15 workers are down, but it feels like this is almost the end of this pressure. Yeah, sure, Shadow Thor warping in a couple more, but those Zealots are so far away from the front that by the time that they arrive, well, their brethren, the first set of warp-ins, they're going to be gone, and +1 will be done in a second. This Bio, it's not all that scared anymore. Well, it's still scared, but it's less scared.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty comfy situation all of a sudden now for Veritas. Shadow Thor is going to try and target down that supply depot. He will get it, but he is running into a meat grinder right there. I don't think he killed a single bio unit. Meanwhile, the drop did come into the main base, a warp-in, rather, came into the main base, trying to disrupt as much of Veritas' mining as possible. And he does get that shut down a little bit. This is still scary, actually.
Ooh, he can get the tech lab as well with the combat shields. There we go. So that would be nice. He's not going to target it down, though. Of course, this is a much better position for Shadow Thor to fight into on the high ground where there are less chokes, but somehow, despite there being far less chokes, he still manages to find one to fight in. So he will lose those Zealots once again, and 8 Zealots against this army is not enough. Now, if he kept that last warp-in round alive and come in with 16 Zealots or 18 Zealots or whatever it was, suddenly you're a little happier. But that's not the world that we're living in. So yes, 13 more SCVs do go down. Veritas' economy is in shambles, but his army is terrifying. And this is not something that Shadow Thor will be able to break with the tech that he has right now.
No, certainly not. Now, he's actually, because the medevacs are very low on energy, he might try. And any stim is actually very detrimental for Veritas, but he needs to get as many he needs to be prioritizing medevac production for sure. Oh, wow, that would have actually went off. Damn.
Yeah, from downtown. Now, Shadow Thor is a player that understands how PvP or PvT should be played, or actually PvX should be played. When you're playing a game of Starcraft and you're a Protoss player, you get a Dark Shrine, but here we got a big drop. Oh, nice play there, Veritas. Removing all ideas of pressure on the map right now. Well, I guess there's an observer, but that's not really much pressure now, is it? But yeah, Dark Shrine on the way behind this. Shadow Thor. Hey, you know what? Actually, I really like this because consider the fact that the amount of economy that Veritas has lost. He has lost a grand total of 25 SCVs. He was down on, I think, 17 workers at one point. You are going to assume that he is muling heavily. And while he drops a scan there too, he is not going to, you cannot assume that he's going to have a lot of energy left over on these orbitals by the time the DTs arrive. As I say that though, he's kind of holding energy on this. Well, okay, there we go. They're scanned down, so we don't have any at the moment.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. I was actually thinking the same thing. I was like, man, he should be spending that energy. But he elected to actually drop the mule eventually. Now, that's kind of the worst case scenario because he doesn't get as quickly as he needs. Now, he does have scan energy just now. Oh, does he drop the mule? If he does, that's going to be so brutal for him. But if he holds it, that will be a very good situation. Okay, the DTs do show on up. Veritas. Hello? Hello?
Oh.
Okay, he's not pulling the SCVs. Will drop the scan. Oh, but he's not able to... He's only able to get one of the DTs. This is not the greatest situation so far for Veritas.
And there's well, I mean, there is a second scan here. I mean, it's still expensive when you're looking at only 30 SCVs. And also, I mean, he commits to 2 missile turrets, which, as long as this third DT doesn't go down, you might argue, just given the economic state, you might almost argue that that is worth it in and of itself. I mean, look, Veritas is on 30 workers. He has lost 25 of them. His economy is pretty abysmal. So spending the extra, what is it, 250 minerals on two missile turrets is, I mean, that's worth a scan right there. So, and actually, he's probably gonna have to get a third one in the main, but yeah, he got a third one. So, not optimally placed, that's for sure.
Yeah, certainly. And something as well for Veritas is he dropped those 2 missile turrets. The one in the natural was just about to finish, and he dropped the scan basically as it was finishing. So he didn't even need to drop that scan. So he basically made those missile turrets, I mean, effectively useless.
And he's getting a Raven. Like, I got to assume that this Raven's for the push, but man, if that's a DT reaction, that is such an overcommitment.
I mean, it's good for the push so that you don't have to save scans, but I mean, I would have much preferred, yeah, like less missile turrets at the very least, at the very, very least. But he is still up in army supply. He's going to be pushing out here. We do have, the DT. Oh my God, why is he not going with Raven? He's going to miss 2 DTs. I mean, I guess there's missile turrets at home anyways. Wow, why is Shadow Thor going for this?
I don't know, but it's a good way to throw away a lead as we got a big push here coming in the left side. Sorry, my mic apparently died. 1 Colossus on the other side. It's going to arrive eventually, but it's not there right now. Dropping the main base as well. Veritas saying, look, you've done a lot of damage to me here, bud, but it's not going to be enough. Somehow only 2 Stalkers got hit by the Armor Shredder missile, so not really all that. I don't think I've ever seen that little when you're in a big clump like that, but the drop of the main base, a problem, but Zealot Stalkers, they warp in to defend, so Shadow Thor, he's buttoned up. I thought this push on the left would get a little bit more than it did, but looks like really it's not going to get all that much, especially with this Colossus arriving.
Yeah, considering the units lost, it really doesn't feel like this game should be as close in supply as it is. Now, of course, a lot of that was eco, and, you know, that has cascading effects, and Shadow Thor was able to kind of catch back up in supply and army supply. Even though he was throwing away a lot of units, he was still stunting his opponent's economy. But I think I still like Veritas's position a little bit more, especially since Shadow Thor's probe count never really got, you know, ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, look how much chrono energy he just has sitting here unused. He's, what, 4 chronos in the natural, another one in the main, well, almost another one in the main. Another one here. Like, that is so many probes that he has not really got for himself. I very much expected with the pressure he's putting on to just be chronoing, triple chronoing, probing up all over the place. I wonder almost whether he has the natural hotkey, because that is that is almost a full energy nexus right there.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy. It is a ton of energy. He did go up to +1 weapons, by the way, and he's getting up to that +2 as well as a second forge, fourth base on the way. He's making some nice moves to advance his position further in this game. Enhanced shockwaves coming in for Veritas. He doesn't really have anything that deals with Colossus right now. Shadow Thor, fortunately for Veritas, Shadow Thor only made the 2 Colossi.
And imagine this was a 4 Colossus game, you know, channeling
Yeah.
a patience or something. But again, I mean, okay, so we talk about the fact that Shadow Thor's probe count's not all that great. I mean, he is quote unquote mining efficiently out of all 3 bases right now because his main and natural are pretty mined out. It's 13 minutes in, and that 3rd base was much later. So, you know, getting a lot more probes at this point. Well, you don't really have much you can mine from them until, of course, the 4th base is ready. So I guess that's mitigating factors. Explains why he's building less probes. But okay, so we do see more Colossus on the way. At least we will have 3. And that's where it kind of starts to get really scary here against this bio. Once you get to 4, even the Marauders struggle to fight.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, they
I
really
mean,
do.
Veritas does have a 30 army supply lead. And if he's able to take a good fight, look, 1 Colossus is in the main. This army is fairly spread out because he's worried about drops. He could just sweep through. Yeah, this army on the left side is rather vulnerable.
Very, very vulnerable. It is before +2 weapons completed. We have triple forge, by the way, out of Shadow Thor, which is not something we see in civilized circles. We just don't see that. Scan comes down, doesn't see the main army. Oh, there we go. Now he does with the second scan. EMP, an enhanced shockwaves EMP on those sentries could be massive. Anti-armor missile going to come on in, and the interference matrix. The force fields are going to come on in, but there's only 1 Colossus attacking, and Veritas is going to stomp forward and crush this army.
He was made dead. That is exactly what happened. You cover him with the Dorito dust, and you knock them all down. Actually, 1 Colossus even got disabled, so it just ran forward into its death. Said, yes, I'm a willing sacrifice. Take me. But unfortunately, kind of took the rest of them, too. So now the second part of the army arrives, but that's one of the downsides. When you want to split your army up like this, you can't take a fight in either direction. We have a couple Light Templar, I guess, for the feedback on the Raven. But the Raven has already found its value 10 times over. 2-2 just about done here, so not even like Shadow Thor is going to have any sort of upgrade lead, even with those Chronos. The Micros forward, Micros backwards. Second Colossus arrives, but the Marauders, they say they're going to get on top of this one. Probes have to get pulled to make sure that this is even a possibility, but that just means they're dead probes. And now Veritas is getting some revenge for that economic damage from earlier. SCVs are men in suits. Probes are just robots, but even still, revenge is sweet.
It certainly is, and we've got Veritas cruising. He's adding on Vikings now to deal with those Colossi. He is taking a 4th command center, landing that. He's got enough SCVs to basically fully saturate it in terms of extra SCVs.
Not totally sure what that auto turret was for there, but Veritas, you know, he's got next level plays, and it doesn't really matter what he does because 1 Colossus goes down. There is absolutely nothing to buffer for them anymore. A 5th one arrives because, hey, that's fun, but it's dead anyways. Veritas, he puts UCI up 3-2, and now it's time for him to do his second ace match in that 2v2.
Absolutely. He'll be looking to close it out here with Antis and a Veritas heading on in for game number 6. Will they be able to close it out here, or will this go to a game 7? Let's get right into it and find out.
I've got no idea, but hey, it is going to be Shadow Thor. It is going to be Tactical Nuke. And then Antis and Veritas on the other side. You got to favor the 2 GM players. I mean, regardless of how much you do or do not play 2v2, at a certain point, in-game skill does trump a lot of stuff.
Yes. Yes, and Antis is not just GM. He is a pretty much DreamHack level player.
He is. All right, well, we're going to have to see whether the upset can happen, whether we're going to get a game 7, or whether, well, Antis and Veritas take out their opponents. As we do have a game 6, it's here. In the upper left, in the gold, he is Shadow Thor. And his partner, the Zerg, is Tactical Nuke.
And their opponent spotting down in the bottom right at the 6 o'clock base. It is Antis. And his ally, Veritas. For the UC Irvine Orange Farmers, possibly for the final time this season. We will see. It'll be up to Shadow Thor and Tactical Nuke to try and prevent that eventuality.
And it's good to see here. We got both teams having a bit of a laugh in Observer Chat. I imagine that I think we got every player from, or at least I think we had every player from both sides going and just hanging out there for potentially what is that last game. So that's always fun. Now, Steadfast, Arctic Dream, I know it's different and maybe it's just the tile set, but this map really feels like Frost to me.
It does look a lot like it. I think it's definitely that tile set. Wow, look at this. I never noticed this before. Take a look at the Overlord for Tactical Nuke on the map right here. The other one.
Yes.
On the map. Look at these burning like pyres. They're like the beacons of Gondor if it was Fellflame.
Yeah, or something from some WoW expansion. I don't know. I never played WoW, but
Yeah.
so yes, I know your response is just going to be wow. Wow. I'm so sorry for what I have done.
We got another quick. Okay, it looks like Shadow Thor does have some tendencies here. He's going for another quick robotics facility before that warp gate. And you know what? I think he might just go for another charge lot all in, if I had to guess.
You know, it does seem likely, considering the fact that, well, I think every Shadow player has gone for quick charge lots. Well, okay, that's actually surprising, right? We have Shadow Thor and Shadow Slayer both playing with these Smash charge lot all-ins, these 2-base charge lot all-ins, and the only time we don't see them do it is when they play together, and then they go for late. They just go turtle out to late game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Anyway, Antis on the other side. He's got one base blink on the way, and Veritas is going for a 3-1-1 2-base timing. So lots of early aggression coming in from the UCI team, and that makes sense because if you think your opponent's going to be aggressive, you're just going to try to find something that hits slightly later. And so it's just coming right into bear right as your opponent arrives, and it's like, well, I got more stuff. I got higher tech stuff, and here, let me smash this aside.
Yeah, it's a solid way of doing it, of going about it. Shadow Thor does get the Immortal first, as opposed to the previous games where he had no Immortals, and of course that does give it a little bit more versatility. And is he going to stop mining gas? It looks like the answer is probably going to be somewhat.
Kind of,
yeah. One on each gas. Yeah, he's thinking of, yeah, this is going to be an all-in. Okay, there it is. Baneling Nest for Tactical Nuke. We will have an expansion coming down for Antis, but like you said, he focused on that 3-gate blink first. He's going to try and put some pressure on the map with cars on the left side as well.
Yeah, we've all heard of cars and dogs. This one is cars and robots, or I guess stalkers are mechs. Cars and mechs. There we go. So now the Hellions, they are live on the high ground. That's a lot of lings, but you know what? If you're able to make them in a great spot, and look at that, the stalkers, they blink backwards. The Hellions form a wall, and so many of the lings, they get roasted, they get toasted. It's a barbecue here on Arctic Dream, keeping everyone warm, but unfortunately, the lings, they're being kept warm by killing them, and that's not all that great. But as more Immortals, more Stalkers arrive, I mean, eventually the lings will kill off these Hellions, but the more and more Stalkers are here. 2 Mortals on the high ground, though. It does force Antis and Veritas back just briefly, but that is still a lot of lings going down.
Yeah, it is. And Antis gets away with all of his high-value stalkers, which is, of course, the very, very important situation. We are seeing the... Oh, God, you got to be careful with those Immortals. Okay. Oh, wow, he actually depowers one of the gateways. Nice move. Does manage to get the Immortals out of the War Prism so it can't get blinked on. If that happens, if he loses those 2 Immortals plus the War Prism, it's almost game right there. Even in a 2v2 in a situation like this, like that's so big.
Oh God, there was a Liberator in the natural Shadow Thor. It got 19 kills.
Oh my God, 21 probes have fallen in this game for Shadow Thor. Oof.
And I mean,
Ooh.
you want to tell us what's happening in this game? Shadow Thor Tactical Nuke saying, yeah, we can't hold off anymore. There was too much damage here. Let's just run across this map, hope something happens. But Shadow Thor has no economy to power this Master Charge Lot all in. And again, it's one of those scenarios where you need a lot of minerals to build a lot of charge lots to make this thing work here. So now Immortals on the low ground getting ferried over Lings. I mean, they're never going to punch through this. It's a force field. It's a bunch of Stalkers on a ramp and some Zealots. Well, actually, no, sorry. Those are Zealots from Shadow Thor. But Bio's going to arrive here as well. So now, attached to new Shadow Thor, they say, what if I move on to the other side? But Vikings trying to knock this Warp Prism down. Honestly, I feel like the Vikings should just all in on the Warp Prism because the two Stalkers are not going to be able to clean it up. And there we go. Stalkers, they find it. Banelings, they look to come crashing on in, but there are tanks and there is stimmed Bio. The Banelings all die. And I think they're going to get a barracks maybe, but this is just not working out here. The Blink Micromance is too damn good. Lings, they filter in one by one, but one by one is not enough because I cannot count. And, well, I guess even I can count that one. It is 2 Immortals and 4 Banes in a Dream Steadfast, but it's not even nighttime.
It is a nightmare, though. It is most definitely a nightmare here. We are going to see the tank shelling away at these units. They tried to break Antis, couldn't do it. They're going to try and break Veritas. They can't do it here. And now the Immortals will go down. And this is all over. We are going to have a champion once again in UCI. It is all over but the crying Shadow Thor. He does still have a lot of Zealots on the map. But 20 probes does not an eco make. Oh, hello? Antis? Antis? Hello? Blink?
There we
There
go.
we go.
It's a gift. He says, I can give these Stalkers away. It does not even matter. And there we have Veritas putting the truth together. UCI, once again, the champions here of the CEA Collegiate Division. And they do it 4-2.
That they do. Well done by them. And that is, well, that's a solid victory right there for UCI. Antis showing up big. Did he play a part in every single map win?
I think so.
Yeah, he won the first match versus Shadow Thor. He won the
2v2 he was
second 2v2 that he was in. He won the... No, actually, it was Veritas who won the 5th map.
Oh,
Okay.
that is true. Yes. So,
But
hey, you know
he
what?
did win every game that he was in.
75%.
Yep.
That's all that
Well
matters. But Steadfast, I think that means we're pretty much done here now. All right. We've had a fantastic corporate finals. We've had a interesting collegiate finals. Antis playing his Protoss and showing it's just as good as a Zerg. Well, close enough. And now that means we're done here for the spring season of the Corporate Esports Association 2022. Steadfast, before we go, any final thoughts?
Thanks to the CEA for having us on. Other than that, yeah.
Yeah. And also shout out to Red Bull for sponsoring these finals and I believe the in-person watch parties as well. So thanks so much for Red Bull for doing that. So folks, for Steadfast, for myself, thanks so much for joining us here for the last 3 hours of your day. Congratulations to Shopify and UCI for once again claiming those trophies. And everyone watching in the watch parties, hope you have a wonderful time. Hope it's a great one. And for Steadfast and I, that's it. We'll catch you next time.